My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft.
It is Saturday. It's February 7th, 2026. It's currently 8:46 in the morning. And as you know, it is the pattern of conduct. It remains ceaselessly underway, including while the entity that is going to be federally prosecuted and civilly prosecuted for threatening my life. It is a threat to your life when you are prosecuting the government, necessarily using the internet, the World Wide Web, to expose and prove unprecedented criminal conduct that is committed in furtherance of murder. So very severe criminal conduct, no small tortious act, no minor thing. And it's also unprecedented because the government has never been proven to be engaging in the allegations. You are necessarily doing it while that same government is also violating your First Amendment rights to seek redress in the courts. So it is under all circumstances also absolutely necessary. This is already establishing the necessity of the use of the internet, because also it is the government, and the government is also a biased actor in its own exposure and prosecution. That is a threat when the government is the one that is stalking, the government is the one that is defaming, the government is the one that is kidnapping and accomplishing your murder, including through the people of the state. The people of the state are the government committing murder. This is proven through the pattern of conduct. So the entity is acting via third parties. Third parties are state actors. They're not private citizens. They're not on private property. They're not engaging in any private speech or conduct. It is on behalf of the government, and this is how you see the Ontario Police sharing in the pattern of conduct with the people of the state. What the Ontario International Airport is doing, the Ontario Police Department is doing, what that entity is doing is together as an entity. It is a criminal enterprise. This is already established, and this is also relevant to the legal theory in prosecuting the government that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. It is also relevant for prosecuting for what is not only domestic terrorism, but the federal RICO case, because every business in the state of California where I am exposing the U.S. government is sharing in corrupt business practices. The foundation of every business is serving criminal surveillance. The states are engaged in making money while they are engaging in what is surveillance, and surveillance is the fundamental purpose. It is literally the federal RICO purpose. The purpose of the point is veiling what is surveillance under the guise of providing a product or service and receiving compensation for it, and that is literally the purpose of laws such as the RICO that the Department of Justice prosecutes for. So the government, and it's also relevant to what is corrupt business while you're maintaining a police station. They maintain a form of business, if you will. They also have a role in government, but they are being paid, and they're also engaging in what is the corrupt and hypocritical and harmful provision of what is a means of veiling what is surveillance, and the government's engaging in surveillance for purposes of murder. So we're talking about conspiracy to murder under all circumstances, not just we're just annoying you, we just want to bother you, we just want to pick on you, and then we're going to leave you alone if we see that you're unbothered. That's not what this is. So the necessity under all circumstances is requiring the internet. The third parties, whether they like it or not, such as YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, Snapchat, the venues including Tumblr, the venues including TikTok, etc. These are venues, first of all, by the way, pay attention, this is not a coincidence. Most of them, if not all of them, are headquartered in California. California that's engaged in surveillance. And California that is leading what is surveillance on the internet and utilizing third parties who are actually found to be, as my evidence proves, acting in conformity to. So it's not a matter of, oh no, we're really a third party. Well, excuse me, because the third parties will not refer to themselves as such. You're proving third party status by virtue of engagement in the pattern of conduct. Whereas an American citizen being threatened by the government, I just want to be clear, you are going to be prosecuted. It's not going to be based on your conceding whether you're a third party or not. The existence of a threat to an American citizen. I'm being mowed down with helicopters following me day and night, and I've proven that. And where I'm publishing that on the internet and you are removing my evidence, it's not going to be based on whether you claim you knew that it was a real threat, or you thought that I was joking, or you didn't find it to be within what are the irrelevant confines of your guidelines, and some third party is making a complaint on your venue, your platform, with regard to being targeted and harassed when they are conspiring my murder with that government that I'm proving is stalking me by helicopter. And there's a whole legal theory speaking to that third party that's monitoring on the internet and knows that I'm publishing them, identifying them, prosecuting them on the internet. You are being prosecuted. I just want to let you know it is inevitable, and the evidence shows what you are simultaneously engaging in. 9 EYS 261. Just want to document that right now. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct on the venue of the internet, and all the evidence is already surrounding that entity that's simultaneously removing my evidence online so that they can continuously conspire my murder, stalk me and terrorize and psychologically torture and sexually violate me. They just want it to be muted. They don't want it to be published in real time. They don't want any real-time news about it. Okay, that's the cold-blooded murderers of the Ontario Police Department, the people of the state, many of whose license plate are published for you to witness. And the ongoing act of obstruction is going under all of their identities as well. That entire entity is being prosecuted. And I only published what is a sample of that ghetto neighborhood that's engaging what is stalking me by planes and helicopters, including UPS and Southwest Airlines. The entity is doing so through the entirety of the Ontario International Airport, but on video I'm showing I'm being gang stalked. And then relevant context, what's happening simultaneously? Oh, the entity engages in what is quote unquote locking my account, referring to what are guidelines as to why your account would be locked or unlocked. That is evidence, and I want to be clear, you will not disregard, and it will not be limited or treated in any remedial means with regard to what is a very real and ongoing federal investigation. You're not going to do that when the Department of Justice is maintaining a federal investigation. You're not going to do it when an American citizen having to take the position of a corrupt government that's trying to murder an American citizen. You're not going to treat that as any lesser. So the entity is interfering with a federal case, trying to protect itself, while murderers are over here stalking and monitoring me, harassing and terrorizing, literally following me all night long in planes and helicopters. That's what I got. While the entity is simultaneously locking my X account, that's a threat to my life, because in the morning, when an American citizen winds up dead and nobody's talking about gang stalking, that's an unlawful threat that you on a platform, just because you don't want to admit, just because you cannot see, that does not mean that it is not a reality. The P.O.C. is informing the government, the population, this country, that you shall be prosecuted for what is a very real criminal system that is no longer deniable. And it's not even reasonably deniable. And you have a whole bunch of baboons. They're unintelligent while they're engaging in terrorism. And the terrorism is underway on the internet. This is relevant to what the entity is doing at the same venue, by the way. I'm at Stater Brothers, where they're engaging what is stalking by helicopters, stalking me by the Ontario International Airport. And that's what they're doing this morning, which is exactly what they were doing last night, focusing on the vantage point of where I'm located at the Stater Brothers Ontario Village Shopping Center. And they're also doing so, well, you already know, I've captured the fake sun, the engineer light, the entity that's full of demons engaging in what is terrorism with engineer light, because they're monitoring. That's getting to, let me get to, this is not just some scary tale. These ignoramuses, the defendant does not understand the significance of capturing the demonic. It's not only the engineer light, that's the demonic. It's not only for your information to know that demons are real. It's to know that the engineer light is the evidence of your conspiring my murder. And you don't get that. The entity's engaging in a pattern of conduct, and they have provided what is a body, a wealth of tangible evidence. As I capture that specific that specific evidence, that specific environment regarding what is my shadows laid out like a deck of cards in front of me, my shadows upright, magnified in size, taller than me, bigger than me, at a distance away from me, a group of them. I'm capturing the evidence of conspiring my murder, while that entity is also providing evidence of conspiring my murder by, in that environment, following me around at yet another place, flying over my head, flying in circles around me, flying in a manner where I can see and hear it, psychological torture, that is, in that environment, by helicopters and planes, which I stated years ago is the hallmark. This is how you will recognize the pattern of conduct. There is no ambiguity. There is no mystery with regard to who is indeed targeted. The entity engages in gang stalking under a whole series of false premises. They're unintelligent, okay? And being unintelligent does not change when you have millions of unintelligent murderers and sex offenders. They don't use brain power, they're perverts. They use brute force, okay? And so this is why you have that, and I want to be clear. The entity that removed my evidence off the internet, this is not just X. This is the entity doing this on TikTok. The entity has done this on Facebook. The entity has been doing it serially on YouTube. And it is an unlawful threat. It is very real. And I will be prosecuting these third parties who are headquartered in California. Why is that relevant? Because they are engaged in the system of surveillance that I am proving. These third-party platforms are making money off of what a surveillance system, maintaining the illusion of privacy. Oh, we're protecting your privacy because you're publishing information about someone's child and their name and their social security number or whatever it is that you're deeming as private, and it's not even private. It's not. Second of all, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, these venues, they're headquartered in California. They're engaged in surveillance. They're making money off of the illusion of maintaining the veil of privacy that doesn't actually exist. They are maliciously, that is, removing my evidence, and I've proven, I'm not just speaking to what I know intuitively. The evidence shows that, first of all, surveillance is underway, and there's a whole system designed to conceal the existence of ongoing surveillance. And I've also shown the way in which the entity targets me in relevant position while I'm engaged in publishing my evidence on the venue of the internet, where I am, in fact, subject to surveillance, and where the stalker, the co-conspirators of murder, know exactly what I'm doing on the internet, knowing exactly who I am. And if there were no gang stalking, who was requesting that my information or that my account or that they're being targeted online? But what do you even know that I'm doing on my phone? How do you know? I'm going to go right to, how do you know who I am? It's the entity, I'm talking about the P.O.C. that's on the internet. They're ignorant. And I just want to be clear, it's relevant. It's already proven. While you remove my evidence, the Ontario Police stalking me, the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario National Airport, terrorism, the people of the state, terrorism. While they're still engaging in that, and this is a murderer with a gun in his hand. This is the illustration. This is the threat, with a gun in his hand, putting with a glove on his hand and a gun in his hand, putting a muzzle over your mouth and holding that gun to your head. That's what the entity is doing while they are actively seeking to take your life and then removing the evidence off of the internet, because that's exactly what you're doing when you take my videos offline, when you lock my account, and I'm documenting it, and I've been documenting it for years. And not only that, these are third-party malicious actors who are engaged in surveillance. Facebook, Meta, Instagram, that's the same Meta. They're headquartered in California, and they are fully engaged in serving what is a government system, as are all of the platforms. Surveillance is underway on the internet. There's no privacy. That's the whole purpose of what I'm proving. And so I'm necessarily doing that on the internet because of the actor. It's the government. It's the government itself that thinks and is wrong. Just because it's never happened before doesn't mean it's impossible. I'm proof that it's not impossible. You targeted me, and I am the person that is proving that surveillance is real and that the government is a stalker, the government's a sex offender, the government is a terrorist. And so are the people of the state, the civilian population. And that civilian population is admitting defeat. They're admitting they're trembling. While they are gang stalking and slinging light all over the place, they're doing it out of fear. Now, that's just a celebratory, victorious admission with regard to the fact of why you're doing what you're doing. Oh, they're doing that because they're scared. They're very much scared. They're very much scared, but they're still stalking me by helicopter while they're scared to death. They are scared to death regarding what it is, the level of evidence, the juncture that we are at, and the system that I have overwhelmed with what is proof, and I have bullied the system that sought to bully me to death. Okay, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm prosecuting. I'm collecting every dime with interest with regard to what is criminally monitoring me in furtherance of murder, the inhumane violation of privacy, and the ongoing terrorism by a government that's full of demons. Full of demons. Demons that cannot afford to compensate for the damages that they've inflicted. They can't afford it. But that's not a bar to justice. If you're sleeping on the street, I'm getting my money. Period. All right, if the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct and they're doing so as a neighborhood, they're doing so as a city, they're doing so as a county, they're doing so as the individuals who are collectively representing an entity. They don't act as themselves. You're not in your individual capacity. That's Ontario Police while they're crossing paths with license 34180X3. License, that's the National Seating and Mobility, pacing in the street under the fake sun, accessing your vehicle is accomplishing surveillance by the Ontario Police Department. And they're engaging in that while the entity is proving it. The fake sun, the supernatural environment, that is the evidence of conspiring my murder. Keeping me under surveillance in that environment that is supernatural. That's not the natural environment, and I've already proven that. The entity is engaging in that while they know exactly what I'm publishing, and some co-conspirator of murder is going to then remove your evidence. Like, you're going to tell the federal government that's investigating you, I'm going to take that, Department of Justice. You're not going to investigate that, and I'm going to go ahead over here and I'm going to continue. Matter of fact, I'm going to hold a gun to your head, and I'm going to force you feds to stop investigating because you're not doing any justice. Who is doing that in their right mind? Nobody. And neither are they here. Every single tactic has a consequence. And this is to prosecute Mike LORENZ. This is to prosecute Michael GERKEN. This is to prosecute Alan D. WAPNER. The entity that is gang stalking through these airlines, those are companies. Those are companies that have people that are responsible at the top. Whoever you are, whoever you think you are, you're not at the top. You're going to be at the bottom underneath my foot when I'm done with you in court. I'm prosecuting you day and night while that company is aiding in psychological torture, sexual violence, harassment, and terrorism. It is occurring in your name. Southwest Airlines, UPS, all these airlines, they have people who are responsible. And I'm not only going to prosecute that brand, I'm going to prosecute you, the people behind that brand. It's terrorism in the U.S. The U.S. government makes money, capitalizes off of murder. This is P.O.C. and it's terrorism. These are ignoramuses who don't do anything other than their job. They're animals. So the leader of the pack says, go hunt, go sick them, right? And they don't think though. They have no strategy, no tactic, no method. Even when the trap is set for them and there's nothing other than defeat. There's no alternative. You're not getting out of it. There's no mystery. Everything that you did, what you knew as you did it, and what you've been doing the whole time, that's all known while you engage in things such as locking my account. That's an unprecedented threat by the government. That's relevant, and let's break that down practically. That's relevant to prison time for those of the Upland Police Department, for those of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, like Jay Marshall and Vanderbilt. Let's get real specific, okay? Cinder Dolfer, those demons that want to go inside of the jail and monitor me, and they do so while they're checking in an inmate, or they're checking in evidence, or they're talking to the demons of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. For whatever reason, they are in relevant position. They're in the engineered environment. They're where the entity has the fake sun over that facility, and they're monitoring with the demons who are the people of the state, engaging in what is kidnapping together, including the inmates. They're kidnapping you because they're monitoring you. They're monitoring with the state. You're talking about prison time. This is a very detailed, and it's also a very elaborate criminal system. But you're not getting lost in the trees, because I've maintained the details and I've shown you what they're doing and how they do it. And you're going to follow that, because the inevitable destination is prison. And it's very detailed with regard to what you did on what date. And it's interconnected to every other ongoing criminal act, which is relevant to a greater pattern of conduct. It's not ceasing. The pattern of conduct doesn't cease, and it certainly doesn't stop. When I am subject to being gang stalked by the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario Fire Department, who engaged in what is incessant criminal summoning all last night after trying to block I documented, you blocked my account after I documented tons and tons and tons of license plates, of addresses, and it's on video what's happening simultaneously while my account is locked. Meaning I'm subject to more gang stalking by helicopter. That's terrorism. And psychological torture, that's a threat to my life. And it's a specific threat because that agency has a pattern of putting their hands on me and kidnapping me while exercising authority under the law that they both don't have, and pursuant to criminal acts that I never committed. And you don't have authority, and there is no municipal code violation when you are the reason that I'm sleeping outside. The absurdity of what these gang members are doing is necessitating federal prison. But it's a real-time threat. And it's a real-time threat that even the federal government is responsible for. Jason Fields is going to prison. I've said it before, but I'm detailing it as to why. The ongoing threat that I remain subject to. You cannot balance this out. You can't make it right, and they certainly aren't, because I'm outside and nobody is stopping. And Mike LORENZ finds no reason. He's certainly not fear-stricken enough, and that's why he's going to prison, because he's going to be very fearful in prison. So you neglect and you fail to respect it outside of the walls of a prison, the bars of a prison. You will respect it when you're locked down, and you're getting more and more time as I'm documenting the ongoing threat that agency poses. And I document them stalking me all night long. And what's happening simultaneously? X is locking my account. This is what YouTube has been documenting. I've been documenting YouTube engaging in for years. And YouTube is a third party. That's the entity. That's the government blocking my account. That's the government removing my video evidence off the internet. That's the government that wants to secretly conspire my murder, take my life, and then control the narrative and silence me simultaneously. They are out of their minds. You're out of your mind. You are psychotic. And everyone knows that because you're a gargoyle that's sitting around stalking with light. But this is hard evidence showing how psychotic they are, how much they are actually serial killers. They're serial killers, and they're demon-possessed serial killers. All right? But that doesn't mean that you're intelligent. Just because you're maniacal, that does not equal intelligence. And intelligence, my dears, it is superior. Because this intelligence is going to put you in a cage. And I'm going to make sure you don't get out. The law mandates you do not get out. You know why? Because you didn't stop. So that federal time is not going to stop. This is the P.O.C. This is what's relevant regarding what I'm documenting. The entity is today stalking with the fake sun over the Stater Brothers. This is where I was at last night. The entity stalking by a helicopter, commercial plane, flying over the back portion of the parking lot. How are you combining that with Terminal 2 at the Ontario International Airport? You're not. It's blatant stalking. License 90601X1 is not being harassed while they're being documented online, and they know exactly where they're being published online because they're maintaining surveillance with that government that's stalking me through the city of Ontario, the state of California, because it's the same P.O.C. in every city, and the P.O.C. has already covered that as well. This is an unprecedented threat by the government, and that is acting through third-party venues on the internet, X, YouTube. You have Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, you have TikTok. These are third parties that are also fully engaged in surveillance. They're headquartered in California. I know that especially YouTube, where the video evidence is published regarding this public investigation is published on that website. It's published on that platform. And I have endured years of ongoing obstruction and a threat to my life, being subject to more and more kidnappings because of the criminal conduct of YouTube, being subject to what is ongoing prolonged oppression, money that has been stolen from me because of the criminal conduct of YouTube. And it's the entity is going to be federally prosecuted, while Mike LORENZ the entire time and Derek Williams the entire time, they've been engaged in what is ongoing serial stalking and furtherance of murder, and they're paid murderers. They're paid kidnappers. The kidnapping is serving ultimately murder. The kidnapping serving ultimately murder in seeking to defame my character. I'm a criminal and that's why they're arresting me so much. No, actually they're stalkers and that's why they're kidnapping so much, as they maintain an engineered paper trail with regard to what is supposed to be the ultimate loss of life. And nobody's going to question it because she was such a criminal in the first place. You know, she was a menace to society. She was harassing everyone on the O. She's lying. She's mentally ill. That's how gang stalking is working, and you're going to pay the price for it. It's not just money. That's not enough. You're going to prison. License plate 7HPZ567, and knows very well that they're being documented on the internet. Not just that they're monitoring on my device. They know what is being published on the internet. And what you are learning about that is that there is no privacy in the United States of America. You are under surveillance on the internet. Those in the Pentagon, those in the White House are aware of every syllable that I'm uttering about what the state of California, the U.S. government, the federal government is inflicting upon me. And no one has made a move to stop it, because this is how the system in the United States operates. And I'm exposing it. And not only are they going to be prosecuted for failing to do their jobs, they've been forced to do so, but you're still going to serve what are the penalties, because I am living, and even though I'm not supposed to, but because I am living, you're now going to be prosecuted for everything that you are responsible for, including the diaper wearers of the Ontario Police Department. You're going to federal prison, those of you in the federal government, for the gang members, the gang violence committed by the city of Ontario, committed by the city of Los Angeles. While they themselves are subject to the penalties, you are. This is your pattern of conduct. It's the U.S. government's pattern of conduct. You're prosecuting just like any other criminal conspiracy. Okay, and with that said, I'm going to prosecute the ongoing pattern of conduct. The P.O.C. is underway. The entity has a fake sun over me at Vesta and Bonita. I've already documented this before. It's 9:09 a.m. I'm documenting the fake sun at this third-party facilitating venue, the house on the corner, at 10 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, where the entity is gang stalking with the city of Ontario, and everyone everywhere as I am going in that environment is stalking me. That's demonic. It's a proven fact that the government is engaging in what is terrorism through the practicing of what is witchcraft, psychotic. In other words, the entity is going to be diagnosed and criminally prosecuted, while I've proven the reality of that psychotic practice. It's a fact. This is speaking to a population that is stalking. Okay? License plate 8FBK287. This is P.O.C. It's 9:10 a.m. 8 Edward Henry Charlie 824, and at third party facilitating venue 156 North Bonita Court. The fake sun is over me, as my video evidence has already shown. The entity having the fake sun and the entity, that's audible activity as I turn the corner. License 9JND990, an impossible light while a terrorist crosses path. This is the Ontario Police, 9VHX137, acting with a third party, 9VJM838, psychopathic pacing. It's not traffic. DMNs are engaging in pacing all around. They're mentally ill. Engineer light on 156 Bonita Court, as I'm subject to a sexual assault and battery, because they're maintaining light while they're monitoring you. 01023G3, P.O.C. And this is the entity. These are the gang members. I want to be clear that engage in kidnapping. This is what Craig Hazelwood and Owens are engaged in. They commit kidnapping together because they're hostile to being documented. But Satan doesn't get a vote with regard to going to prison and with regard to being exposed as terrorists in the U.S. Satan doesn't get a vote in this. You don't. And nobody cares how you feel either. So the more you commit kidnapping, I just want you to understand, because you're not thinking about that now, you're going to prison and you're not getting out. You're going to federal prison and you will not be getting out. You're not getting out in 5 to 10. License 7XFD156. Stalking with light activity. The license plate that I already read, they're stalking in the middle of the street with light activity. That's a peculiarized light, a method of flashing light, surveillance by everybody else that's crossing path. License 6YEN049 included. 9CEP843. And that's impunity while gang members engage in, this is what's relevant, they remove evidence, block it so that it's not seen by the public on the internet while they are actively trying to murder somebody. 9VHX137, and that's the criminal conduct of a police department that's actually engaged in surveillance, and it's going to be disbanded. And it's the same with Michael Gerken, the Ontario Fire Department, the same with American Medical Response, the same with the Ontario International Airport. License 7AJN723. The two, neither one should be happening, but the two are not happening at the same time, and you are delusional. Alan D. WAPNER he's an aged person, and he's been engaged in corruption for decades, and this is someone that will be prosecuted. He will be broke and in prison when I get done with him. License 6V20621. They've been making millions and millions of dollars off of targeting me. VST 484-C, and also spending millions of dollars on targeting me as well. License plate. That's how you have, by the way, a population that knows who you are, and even though you don't know who they are, but you're able to prove knowledge through that environment, and you're able to prove knowledge through the shared behavioral pattern. License plate. ML075 handicap 8EEZ515. They're stalking while they're driving on Vesta, and demons are maintaining peculiarized light, and the fake sun is moving over me in the opposite direction of those vehicles. They don't have the same experience as me. It's not the natural environment, and nor would the sun be over this same street. This is where the Ontario police were stalking last night while on D Street. This is the entity, the video evidence from last night is prosecuting everybody that I'm documenting right now. They're demons and they're stalking in the state of California. License 8BFP294. The sun will not be overstated, brothers. When it's over me at 503 West D Street at 4 in the evening, they're stalking. 7TXP618. License 7HGS511. That's a psychopath. It's a female. She's gang stalking under the fake sun. 6XIE308. 9UVJ576, 9FEN304 at 507 West Vesta, 9KKT 476, and 7BNJ902. License 9FE, I read that one, 9FEN304. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the entity is engaged in what is an ongoing failed endeavor, and the entity that is engaging in failed endeavor is not, this is the relevance, and you know that through the environment. Through their pattern of conduct of stalking in demonic ways, that they're not just ordinary criminals, and that's not because they're elite or intelligent. It's because they're demons. License plate 9UZV086. So you have the demon-possessed who are mentally ill, as their behavior is a problem with regard to a national security threat, because it's a population of mentally ill, the infection being demon possession. Because they've come across someone that you are under no circumstances, you're not superior to me under any circumstances at all. 8SFS050, not even numbers help them. Not even numbers. Okay, and by the way, the numbers are going to be the reason why you're going to federal prison. That's the reason for the severity of the penalty here. License 5WBZ 852. And the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, stealing my property, that's supposed to be a means of, and that's upon kidnapping. So Craig, Hazelwood, and Owens throw away my sleeping bag and my blankets so that I'm freezing cold outside, and that's supposed to cause me to call Tracy Banks and ask her, the person that summons the Ontario police kidnapping me with them. This is a demon that thought that I was going to be dead by now, and I'm not. And matter of fact, she needs to check her health. She needs to go to the doctor, because all those death spells, they're not touching me. And not only that, the ongoing case is on a daily basis, hourly, stronger and stronger. Okay? You're going to prison. You're going to prison, whatever your state of health is. 8FJB792, and so is your homosexual husband, sex partner, swinger partner, whatever Jason Fields is, whatever these perverts have together, they're co-conspirators, and they're both going to federal prison. They're engaging in what is soliciting, compensating what is a population that's engaging in gang stalking, which I'm proving through a organized pattern of conduct, the documentation, the evidence, the P.O.C. that exists in and of itself, speaking to there is nothing that can alter the probative value of the P.O.C. Even if you were to defame the target individual, say I had a background of, say I used to commit frauds, and I would steal people's yachts, and then I would live in their timeshares and make a lot of money, and something, say I had some elaborate background like that, and then since then I changed, and I turned over a better leaf, and I became an honest person, and I went to law school, became an attorney, whatever. You can come up with something like that. The P.O.C., it doesn't change in its probative value. It remains factual, it remains reliable, because it's not based on, and it's not reliant upon, what is the reputation of the person that is creating what is that body of evidence. You cannot defame anybody out of the pattern of conduct. It will never it doesn't bear any reflection on the targeted individual. It doesn't bear any reflection on the person that is merely producing the evidence that is referred to as the P.O.C. This is the entity that is entirely incompetent, however. But that's the truth. The P.O.C. stands by itself, period. It remains factual no matter who is reporting. But I am the one that is reporting, and I am the one that does have an immaculate history, and that contrary to what the entity tried to defame me as, and that's also letting you know that they're gang stalking. Why else are you lying about my reputation? Why else would you need to do that? So that nobody would believe me? So that your prostitution ring would be pointed on to me, make me look like the prostitute, when actually you're the prostitute. You're the one that's prostituting. And the fact that you're even lying, the fact that you're stealing from me, the fact that you're seeking to block my content on the internet, which if nobody's paying attention, if I'm not being targeted, I don't have any followers, I don't have millions of subscribers, who is it that's paying attention to me? Who's removing that content? Who is interested in doing so? Who knows specifically where it's at? Who's engaging in what is fraudulent conduct, such as copying off of my content? My content is very specific and unique. You cannot copy it, because that is where you're getting to what is my specific fingerprint. You cannot mimic. You cannot duplicate what is the P.O.C, which is created by a specific person with a specific design. You can't mimic it. You cannot write down what it is that I said and then repeat it and it be the same. You cannot under any circumstances copy what it is that I've done. However, those that have tried to, like those 9TP and 019 going right to their vehicle where I'm at under the fake sun, that's the pattern. That's how you know they're monitoring in their homes, by the way. They're engaging in that pattern of conduct with regard to admission to targeting. All right, this is the same neighborhood where they're stalking by the Ontario police. How many of them are immigrants? That's however many of them are getting deported. 9EOW687. P.O.C. Going to your vehicle is accomplishing the elements of monitoring. Doing so while you know exactly who I am and where I'm at. And the entity is not engaged in any private speech. You don't have any protection, just like the target individual doesn't have. Understand, be prepared. You don't have any protection. The feds are liable to come pick you up at any moment. You're fully exposed because they're engaging in criminal conduct on behalf of the government, the public entity that doesn't maintain private property, that doesn't engage in any private speech. They are vicariously acting on behalf of that entity, and they put themselves there, and you also put yourself in prison. License 26561E2. This is the entity that's engaging in what is that pattern of conduct, and as they engage in that criminal activity, as they do so as incompetent, inferior minions who are, at the end of the day, envious. They're just jealous. And so you try to murder someone that you're jealous of. It's entirely pathetic. And gang stalking in and of itself, it's nothing other than the concoction of a bunch of losers, flunkies in life. And I don't care if you are the president of the airport authority. That's a life flunky. He's a flunky. That's why he's gang stalking me. CEOs of companies, flunkies. That's why they're gang stalking me. Everything that you've been conditioned to think about, who's a winner and who's getting the bag, you've been deceived. You've been deceived. That's why these people with all this money, they're concerned with my vagina. They're sitting up obsessing over me in the middle of the night. They're acting like they love their spouses and their kids, and they're gang stalking me. They're obsessed with me. Stalking is born of obsession. They're obsessed with me. They don't love their supposedly counterpart, their spouses. Both of them are obsessed with me. They're demons. Demons cannot love. Demons don't know what it is to be in love. Demons don't have any measure of actual intelligence. That would require self-control. That would require calibration, recalibration, and approaching in a different. They don't do that. They're demons. You don't understand. They are demons. They go off of what? Raw, carnal impulse. Very highly intelligent, but very, very useful for my prosecutorial purposes. Very useful. They're inferior beings. They're demon-possessed. All right, this is the P.O.C. 6SWM013, and where the fake sun is over me now, this is where the fake sun was over me in the evening, where the Ontario police, the city of Ontario, is gang stalking through the demons, all the life flunkies that are coming to stalk me outside. Imagine that. These are losers. And they're hell-bound losers. That's the reality. And because you don't like it, because you are going to hell, that's why you're gang stalking. It's not just criminal conduct. It's demonic. You're a demon that's obsessed with me while you know exactly who I am in the spirit, and you know what it is that I'm speaking about you, the 1000% truth. And here on this 3D plane, you're out your mind, thinking that you're going to gang stalk me, block my account, and that it's not going to be specifically tailored to you. You, exactly who you are, it's very specific. There's no ambiguity. There's no numerosity that's going to cause you to disappear into the masses, and you're not going to be able to be prosecuted. You're delusional. Get ready. Get ready. Because that fear that you're showing that you have by engaging in what is targeting me on the internet, because you're scared, because it's the truth, because you are guilty, you're being prosecuted with that same evidence. 5H36856, and it's pathetic. 8WYV208, 7V88940, 9MAH897. And this is what is behind Craig Hazelwood and Owens committing kidnapping on behalf of the flunkies who are the U.S. government, the state of California. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:22 a.m. (80453J3), stalking with the Ontario International Airport and Southwest Airlines. 7ZXH275, 6ZNK111, 8 Henry Nancy Charlie 933, 5 Mary Victor Mary 616, 5JXK 800. They're stalking on what is G Street, Woodside Senior Apartments. You already know that. What happened to the sunrise at Tracy Banks' apartment, units 33 through 64. I left Woodside Senior Apartments where I was being gang stalked inside of unit 51. That's what happened. The entity has a fake sun over me, which I took images of. It's 9:31 a.m. where Southwest Airlines is over the sky space of G Street. While I'm standing in front of 307 West G Street, that's the entity that's gang stalking. So are the demons inside of that third-party facilitating venue, fully exposed to federal prosecution, conspiring my murder. Knowing who I am also. 9FZM135, and they also know what I'm doing on the internet regarding identifying them. And they are the idiots that admit to it by locking my account, requesting who's claiming being targeted and harassed. How do you even know that if gang stalking were not real? Alrighty, that's the entity that's highly unintelligent, very highly unintelligent. It's currently 9:32 a.m. People of the state are gang stalking. License plate. I'm at WSS 222 G Street, where the fake sun is over me in the evening with the Ontario Police by helicopter stalking in the evening. License 9BUW875, 9LGJ038, 9HBK445, 9NVV640. These are demons that provide evidence against themselves. Alan D. Wapner doesn't have a defense in court. Nobody on that board, nobody on that executive team. And the people of the state are being prosecuted. Stalking in the path with that airport, 7LGU651, 7PPU287, 9UFP746. And this is what is simultaneously happening while locking my X account. They're going to prison. I documented the gang stalkers, 503 West G Street, 503 West D as in dog street, 425 West D Street in Ontario, California. Impossible Eye moving across the wall while the airport is stalking with him. 7BMJ602 is a third party to the conspiracy to murder by the state, who's providing plane activity that's going to serve in prosecuting this idiot. They're idiots. TVX9538. I'm at Pizza Hut at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and who's flying over the parking lot? The Ontario International Airport, where Alan D. Wapner, there is no explanation regarding the specific environment where they are targeting me. He is targeting me, conspiring my murder, and has been doing so for years. 9PYP095, 7V19296, the gym at 130 West Gym with this third party stalking, 9WJE360, 9WJF587, 9MAP132, and that's exactly what you'll see reflected in the images at the Stater Brothers. You're looking at the timestamps. I take picture of license plate, the entity stalking by plane. All right, monitoring the evidence. Also monitoring the evidence on the website, on the platforms, where then you think, as a co-conspirator of murder, the government's going to remove your evidence to prosecute. 8RIL494, who is a third party identified in that gang that's being published on the internet, will be subject to prison. License plate 8UAE153, 8EXA341, 9PPJ109, 94927Z2, sexual assault and battery. While they're pacing all around, these are psychopaths. Vagina monitors. 9WJE360, crossing path. Again, she's a psychopath. 9LHW874, 8TCN596, and she's a homosexual, a demon-possessed one, wanting to touch all over me while she's obsessively stalking me. Okay? Would like to present probably presumptively as a heterosexual woman. She's a demon-possessed homosexual. She's obsessed with my vagina, and that's why she's touching me while she's stalking another woman. License 98437B3, 8EOR977. And all of this is substantiated by the stalking conduct of the airport. No terminals, flights at any point are flying over this plaza, nor would the sun still be, as a matter of video documentation, over me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 9:35 in the morning, at 5 o'clock in the evening. Especially the evidence of Tracy Banks and Avanath Capital Management, Woodside Senior Apartments gang stalking me under the fake sun, rise and sunset. 6TFA198, 6NGW189. P.O.C. Literally the plane activity that you can hear in the background. It's strict liability basis. You're going to be prosecuted. Very, very simple. No controversy here. 5JUW 505. 8MAH 098. Conspicuous surveillance 7BMJ 602. The vagina monitor that's stalked with impossible light engaging in surveillance by stalking in the parking lot. Let me show you that. This is P.O.C. And the fake sun's in a distinctly different position, and under no circumstances will it be creating any light activity, which you also know is a fact, on the wall, while somebody that's conspiring your murder with the government that's stalking you in plane of helicopters engages in what is stalking you and harassing you more, and then trying to block your ability to see the stalkers, to see the murderers, by removing their evidence. That's exactly what will never be removed off the internet. And the entity's engagement in removing it is speaking for federal charges and damages. Okay, P.O.C. License plate 5JUW 505, 6TKB 533. Gang stalking at Bank of America, 16893T1. Keeping the hazard lights on. It's peculiarized light. That's what they're doing on Vesta. License 7FOS 132, 290031, Nevada. 8UAW524. The Mohicana, the Heavenly Nails and Spa, the Water and Ice, the Pizza Hut, they're all gang stalking. That's the federal RICO case while I go through document the people's state. The people of the state, that's a federal RICO case simultaneously. License plate. Bank of America gang stalking. 54958F3, a transaction with the gang stalker Bank of America at 735 North Euclid Avenue. 7MVZ377, 9:37 a.m. transactions, criminal conduct, they're gang stalking. 5VQL289, light activity with Bank of America. License 9NTE749, P.O.C. with the airport that's stalking. License 6PYL340, P.O.C. So let me show you criminal activity surveillance while they are customers at third-party facilitating venues. It's under the fake sun, where the entity is also engaging in what is stalking by the Ontario International Airport, and the Ontario Police is engaged in all of it. P.O.C. 70113H2. And this is just the side of the street that I'm on. I'm just documenting where I'm at, the specific actors that are acting as one entity. Okay, and as I walk north up Euclid Avenue, guess what the plane activity does? Like I've already documented when I'm on G Street walking to Ramada by Wyndham. By the way, after 11 o'clock in the morning. And remember on September 1st, 2025, the fake sun is in alignment to my hotel room window at the American Inn that I'm crossing path with right now. Doing so at 9:38 in the morning. 8XGG685, and everybody in that hotel, and everybody in the same city, gang stalking me as the fake sun remained on G Street as I then walked to Ramada by Wyndham. That's September during daylight savings time, and the entity has the fake sun over me. And the entity is engaging in this while they're monitoring the evidence that's being published online. And the foolishness of an entity that is providing what is putting a whole airport in the palm of my hand, putting a whole police department in the palm of my hand, putting a whole municipality, a city, essentially the state of California, in the palm of my hand. There are over 10 police departments who are actually gang stalkers exposed. They're domestic terrorists that are trying to cloak themselves as being engaged in law enforcement, and they're not. And they're in the palm of my hand. License 36529B1, 6WPA979. And you get all of that while the demons follow me up the street in planes. 8ZTG927. And you're stalking when you go to the restaurant under the fake sun. You're stalking when you go to the bank, crossing paths with me under the fake sun. You're stalking when you're loitering, surveilling, and conspicuously at the red light under the fake sun. These are demons that think that they can stalk you and you're not supposed to know about it. And then if you do know about it, you're going to be criminally defamed. Oh, no, you're not. They're going to be diagnosed and they're going to prison. Okay, the animals are going to be caged. The animals are not going to defame and kidnap American citizens. It's the exact opposite. The exact opposite. License 9AVB 586. 7RUC329. And there's even more evidence than that. The entity's stalking me when I'm coming from LA, driving my vehicle that had the sunroof, because I would show you the fake sun over my vehicle at the speed that I'm driving, just like I'm showing you out the window of Omnitrans when I'm aboard those buses. And the entity's keeping the fake sun when I'm coming from Los Angeles, coming into Ontario, driving on this same street in the opposite direction in the middle of the afternoon where the airport is on video stalking. And the entity's doing so under that fake sun. Alan D. WAPNER does not have a defense, and Alan D. WAPNER doesn't even care. He's more obsessed with my vagina than the fact that that old man is facing prison. 7G61921, 5FPW620. Because they're demons. They're not sane. And it took the right person to bring it out of all of them. 9NJP954, P.O.C. It's 9:40 a.m. Stalking at I Street and Euclid Avenue on behalf of the state. License plate. These are psychopaths. They're pacing and they're stalking. 8CPE 429 3049 A43, I believe. Can't really say it's substantially similar. It's a white pickup truck, and it looks just like the demon that was gang stalking me, whose license plate I already read this morning. License 7LVM613. Nonetheless, that's the entity. That's P.O.C. License plate stalking 8UYR822. P.O.C. at I Street in Euclid under the fake sun. It's 9:42 a.m. (7XOS 950). License plate stalking Apple Sam Xavier 1719. That's ASX 1719. Gang stalking 951 Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. This is psychopathic pacing by demons who are stalking on the roads and the highways on behalf of the government, conspiring by murder. A population that knows who you are while they're stalking you. DSTUNA. P.O.C. The fake sun is over me on Euclid Avenue at 9:44 a.m. License 6 Mary David Henry 816. 6 Apple David Charlie 328. 8 Zebra Bob Thomas 311. 9 Charlie Robert Victor 397. 8 Nancy Henry Bob 168. 8 Apple Larry Bob 815, I believe. ITS 9919, that's Texas. 9J SC 039. 4 Paul Zebra Victor 843. It's 9:45 a.m. Outright departure from the sun remaining over me at the bus stop at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where the Upland Police are coming to the city of Ontario to gang stalk me personally, to experience what it is to be in my presence and to be discerned as demons, as they are both amazed and they're also hostile, lusting after murder. All right, that's why you have this foolishness combined with criminal conduct, because they're demons and they are both fascinated, but it's also relevant to what you're going to analyze under the law and the facts. The demon-possessed gang stalker. 7SWL844. There's no sun over that intersection, both in the morning at 9 a.m. and also 62258B4 9TLK955 for it to be over Euclid Avenue, moving in the direction that I'm moving. While the demons are going in the opposite direction, the sun is not at the same time moving over me, going north, and moving over them, going south. And also remaining at that intersection of F Street in Euclid, at that bus stop for me to capture it. For example, Southwest Airlines gang stalked me at that same bus stop at 6 in the evening, where Southwest Airlines, the Ontario International Airport that is, this population, the city of Ontario, which is the state of California, is proven to be engaging in psychotic means of criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. It's not happening at the same time under any circumstances. Even the bigger picture, the sun is not going to be captured. The natural environment, the sun doesn't behave like that. The sun's not going to be idle for that long from one person, any person to capture it. And it's not in Florida while I'm looking at it at the bus stop. These are ignoramuses. All right, so their disease has literally been the cause of their demise. It's demon possession. It's P.O.C. It's 9:47 a.m. Stalking at the intersection. The roads and the highways is a federal stalking case on behalf of the government at 4th Street in Euclid. So let me show you this, what gang stalking looks like, where they don't have car accidents. They commit murder on the roads and the highways, targeting with the government. 11230 SAM 2. Insurance companies are third parties that are sharing in that ongoing fraudulent system, compensating murderers, compensating those that would allege harm or an accident or negligence. The whole tort system, which is centered around and facilitating this targeting system, which is corrupt, underway by demons who employ the demonic, the supernatural that is, while they commit murders. Gang stalking on the roads and the highways, 8DIU967. There are no car accidents under the fake sun. These are monitoring spirits who are operating vehicles, who are molesting you with engineer light while you're looking in the physical at a vehicle with headlights on it. While you're looking in the physical of vehicles on the roads and the highways under the sun, and you're breaking it down, and that's not what you're looking at. You're actually looking at the engineered environment where monitoring is underway, and it's very spiritual. It's dark. License 8WYX360. Co-conspirators of murder, all of them. 9HRH968. Stalking on the roads and the highways, stalking by population, being stalked, being gang stalked on the freeway. The government's going to compensate for the psychological harm behind that reality, and the fact that I'm aware of it because I've been documenting it. I'm going to prosecute for that. I am entitled to recovery, and it's establishing precedent. Speaking to the entity that engages in more terrorism, gang stalking me by helicopter and planes on the freeway, as I'm documenting the people of the state, so molesting me with impossible light inside of my vehicle while you're crossing path. You're stalking on the freeway. That is literally the act in furtherance of murder. The intent to seriously harm. And they're doing that while they are supposed to appear as though they're minding their business. They don't know you and you're mentally ill. The malice behind that, the malice is it's unprecedented, but it's also highly unintelligent. It takes a specific person with that ability to see both in the spiritual and physical realities that both coexist. They're both real. In order to show you the malice of a government that's conspiring your murder and thinks that, oh, we're so magical, no one's going to see us. Psych, Satan, you lose. Surveillance, license Edward, Larry 92F14. This is a female gang stalking under the fake sun that's at Harvard and Euclid in operation. This is a demon, the significance of having the headlights on, staring down, studying the communication device. These are robots, these are bots, these are demon-possessed people, and they're engaging in stalking, studying their devices together, tracking my steps while the entity is stalking by aircraft over my head. Okay, maintaining aircraft, and they're doing so at 1118, where the fake sun is over me, and I've already documented this, by the way. I've been documenting this. My documentation in 2018 is showing my walking up Euclid Avenue, going to the city of Upland, the city of Ontario, the city of Upland, seamlessly sharing in that pattern of conduct. It does not take a pause. The fake sun doesn't stop at the border of Ontario to Upland, and then the people of Upland are, unaware of who I am. They're not targeting like the people of Ontario. The engineered environment changes, and then, it takes on some maladjust. No, it's the pattern of conduct. It's the state of California in the same way that I've shown ceaselessly through city to city and county to county. It's the entire state. And this is the government that's engaging in what is surveillance through the people of the state. And this is speaking to removing that illusion regarding some sense of privacy. Meaning, if you've never met them, you don't talk to them, and they don't have some other means of identifying you, like they work for the government. They're the Social Security office, and that's how they know your information, and that's how they're calling you, or that's how they're sending mail to you without you giving them This is an illusion. They know exactly who you are, and that is proven through the behavioral pattern in that environment. And as I turn down the street, that fake sun is no longer over those demons who are studying their devices under the fake sun at Harvard and Euclid, and it remains over me. It's the identification of knowledge. It's the identification of co-conspirators who are sharing together and stalking, maintaining, tracking your steps, and they're doing so on devices. This is federal stalking conduct. It's surveillance, and it isn't done committed with the intent to psychologically torture. That is, again, the language that has never before contemplated criminal surveillance, gang stalking, satanic means of targeting. So you're including in that language, which is what I'm advocating, psychological torture. What is the intent to not just injure and harass, but to terrorize and to torment, to sexually violate. All of that is accomplished simultaneously while you're gang stalking. You're being surveilled at all places, at all times, in every regard. And you're also getting to what is the mental illness of that entity that engages in that, the demon-possessed that are engaging in this criminal system, proven with tangible evidence. And you're getting to that by addressing what is also inherent to the pattern of conduct, severe mental illness of the entity. 9MWK749, 9JHD441, 4BOE919. 8 Paul Henry Frank 081. Fake sun no longer going north of Euclid Avenue. Now it is going what is east on Princeton, as I'm walking east on Princeton. And you're not just walking your dog coincidentally, you're stalking in the path. The fake sun proves that you're engaging in. And this is a system that enables any and everyone, no matter where that they're going, and they are scattered about in every position, regardless of where you go. They are doing so with knowledge, and that knowledge and intent is proven through that specific environment. JZ729 handicap. When I stand in front of your house under the fake sun, you're not coincidentally going out to start your car, going out to get something out of your car, going out to go back and forth. You're pacing, and you're doing so pursuant to stalking on behalf of the government who's vicariously acting through you. That's how the fake sun is over me right now, by the way. I'm going to show you the people of the state gang stalking on Princeton at what is 9:53 a.m. It's P.O.C. 206. Let me show you the address. Yeah, 206. as I'm on Euclid Avenue, surrounded by gang stalkers who are maintaining props. A dog is a prop, children are props, a lawnmower is a prop, a police vehicle is a prop, an ambulance, that's a prop. They're demons, and they're stalking with light, they're stalking in the path, and they're mentally ill, severely mentally ill. RDRLOLA. They're psychotic while I'm showing you what their purpose is and the ways in which they seek to conceal and keep you distracted from being able to identify what they're actually doing. 8YVB552 23595 Victor 2. It's currently 9:54 a.m. 7 Wendy 55698. That's Alert Security Systems. The ACO number 5173. ACO number 5173 on the side of that vehicle. This is a means of identifying licensure that's provided for companies, permits, etc. It will be a loss and criminal prosecution for the criminal misuse and abuse, the malicious application for such means of gaining credentials to share in surveillance with the government. Not only loss of it, but a matter of public information as to the malicious guise under which surveillance is underway and money is being made. License 8, Frank Sam David 911, 6YJU 316. The people that say gang stalking where they live, the people that say they're going to be raided where they live, people that say they're going to be federally prosecuted based on where they live. And they're doing so on behalf of the government that is shown to be maintaining presence everywhere, all the time, and all in every regard regarding the people who are stalkers on behalf of the government. License, they're murderers on behalf of the government. 7K32093. 8 Frank David Paul 728. Tom Kelly 635, that's handicap. 8 Apple Karen David 282. 9 Kelly Nancy Thomas 551. 93844 Victor 1. At 430 Princeton Street in Ontario, California. The fake sun is over me at 9:57 a.m. WZN 1579, that's a Texas plate. 9 Xavier David Frank 401. 9 Charlie Thomas Uncle 934. 1702158, and that's a commercial vehicle at 522 Princeton Street in Ontario, California. That's a commercial actor parked at that third-party facilitating venue. Gang stalking. License 7 Bob Charlie Zebra 213. 7 Mary 12445. With surveillance cameras on the third-party facilitating venue, which is aiding in surveillance by the state. 7 Apple Xavier Charlie 554. 8 Uncle Wendy Edward 284 at what is 545 Princeton Street. And at 9:59 a.m., the entity has the fake sun over me at the ARCO parking lot where the City of Ontario's gang stalking me, and the blue vans, the City of Ontario that's a sex offender molesting me with impossible light while demons operate municipal vehicles, while Paul Leon is criminally financing gang stalking. 6ZAJ 154. The entity is doing so while you're engaged in an outright departure from the ongoing environment where I remain on Euclid Avenue from the bus stop to the library, remaining in that parking lot where the airport's hovering over the ARCO parking lot, hovering over the housing community at Lemon Avenue and F Street, remaining over the OVITT Family Community Library as I'm walking into that entrance right now at 10 o'clock. This is how you know the malice of all those who are working at the OVITT Family Community Library, all of those who are entering into that OVITT Family Community Library. It's the same malice exhibited while they're gang stalking where they live. All right, license 4DTK062, 9ELX810. And let me show you an image of the people of the state gang stalking in the neighborhoods. In the neighborhood off of D Street, D Street and Vine and San Antonio. The entity that's in that little ghetto hood over there where they're gang stalking, and I have the evidence surrounding them in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. Stalking by the police, stalking by the airport, stalking by the fire department. The entity is subject to prison. Those same defendants then go and engage in what is locking my account, and it's directly tailored to the entity that's being documented. In the way in which the entity is seeking to obstruct justice, you're getting more charges. So you're going from being prosecuted, which is very bad to be prosecuted as a terrorist in the first place, but you're talking about federal prison. And I've collected a whole bunch of very clearly identified defendants. You don't understand how very simple this is going to be. License WSBK2BK. It is currently 10:01 a.m. under the fake sun at 627 Princeton Street. The fake sun is directly over me. I'm capturing that right now. They are stalking 35704A4 7Y83241, the facilitating venue. And it's not based on if you're at your grandma's house in San Diego right now. It's not based on whether you work at the library and you're at OVIT right now checking out a book for your granddaughter. It's not based on whether you're taking a walk to the liquor store going to get your 40 ounce. It's not based on whether you're out picking out more child porn from the library that your cousin owns in their basement living with their mother. You're going to be prosecuted based on place of residence. The government is stalking everywhere and doing so at all times, and the entity is always maintaining relevant positioning. That means even if that facilitating venue is physically empty right now, I remain surrounded, and you are subject to that pattern of conduct, whether you're at work or whether you come home, gang stalking, all the same as an entity on a ceaseless basis. Be prepared because you're being prosecuted. This is nothing other than annoying. P.O.C. Let's listen to the plane activity while I identify some more third parties who engaged in obstruction last night. Because the ignoramuses don't understand that they don't have anything mighty, that they're idiots while they have conceded to engage in unprecedented criminal conduct in the United States, while you're stalking me by planes and helicopters, including while somebody has a video camera out to prove it. The people that eat feces, 5RZG964, idiots, idiots, absolute retards. License 7YAK600, 8PMJ459. I couldn't have had a stupider bunch of defendants, and I mean that. They have no idea how this is going to work in a criminal case, a courtroom. 83274B2, 8NUH519, they're idiots. But that's because they're demons, they're inferior. You are literally, by your position, relegated to a position of loss. That's why you're so foolish, that's why you're so dumb. And it's so easy. P.O.C. License 6 Sam Xavier Frank 557, 9 David 0 Edward 562, 9 Apple Robert Larry 507, crossing path, 5 David Victor Nancy 368. That's going into and volunteering to be prosecuted. That's an idiot. 8 Yolanda Charlie Zebra 277. There is no such thing as a defense claiming ignorance because you drove into the documentation that is maintained by the federal prosecutor. These are idiots. 7 Larry Henry Thomas 232. It's already proven that you're ignorant. It's already proven what your knowledge is. It's already proven the malice with which you act. And the entity is always giving me evidence. 6 Frank Zebra Victor 920. 50263 Larry 2. P.O.C. All right, ongoing terrorism while I'm at the intersection of Berlin and Princeton. It's 11:22 a.m. I'm capturing images of the entity gang stalking me on the roads and the highways, including license plate 7ZOC283. You'll see the fake sun over me at a facilitating venue, and at 763 Princeton Street in Ontario, California, where stalker, license 7WCB388, is gang stalking me, doing so on the roads and the highways. They are gang stalking with the Ontario police, who maintain helicopter activity so that it would terrorize and threaten and harass me while the entity is speaking to me in my face and simultaneously gang stalking with those inside of that venue and outside of that venue. This is the gang violence that the Ontario Police Department are being disbanded for, and it's gang violence that the Ontario Police are responsible for while the people of the state share in that gang violence, which is all state action. License plate 22794 Frank 4. They're all engaged in what is ongoing conduct with regard to criminal monitoring. And I just want to be clear, the only type of people that are monitoring are demon-possessed people. So this is speaking to a demonic population that are exceedingly hostile, while the demons are no longer secretly among us. And it's criminal activity that they're being prosecuted for, including while I'm at a venue at Princeton in Berlin, and they're engaged in gang stalking me inside of what is another fake church. Okay? This is an entity that's engaged in what is terrorizing me and harassing me and threatening me in my face. I just want to be clear, it's psychopathic behavior, and moreover, it's criminal. This is 763 Princeton Street, license 41627A4. As I walk here and I document the entity, I'm documenting everybody. As I read one address, as I identify my location, the entire neighborhood is gang stalking. Okay, you don't have to go around and name all the streets and go through. It's the government that's surveilling. That's why the fake sun is over me, and it's not. Still, as of 11:24 a.m., contrary to surrounding the demons of the OVITT Family Community Library, that's the City of Ontario, for keeping me under surveillance because it's not over the entrance of that library at the same time, which is a well-documented pattern. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me where this neighborhood's engaging in terrorism with the Ontario police in furtherance of murdering me while they psychologically torture as an entity and harass and terrorize as an entity, a hostile entity that doesn't like being identified as what they are, stalkers. 8YEE024, P.O.C. 753, Princeton Street, gang stalking. 8FJB999, gang stalking. The entity is sounding sirens, amplified, fake sun over the venue. That's what I'm capturing. And the entity is gang stalking on the roads and the highways, stalking me as I go right back toward what is the Euclid Avenue area, Ontario, where I'm typically at. Surveillance in the neighborhood with the people of the state. It's a Latino male engaging in conspicuous surveillance, and that's licensed that I already documented, 7SSD518. This is P.O.C. So let me show you that fake sun that's no longer over the venue where I was at and the fake sun that's over me while this third party is engaging in surveillance with the gang members that utilize helicopter activity and ongoing sound of sirens, which is the communication of a threat. All right, the entity is engaging in that while they are engaging in threatening conduct that they're going to be prosecuted for. The entity maintaining plane activity at this venue. The entity is doing so while the neighborhood is sharing in that gang violence. I just want to be clear, the neighborhood is full of murderers. They commit murder in the same manner with the government. They're not private citizens. And this criminal activity is that which the entity, the police department, sheriff's department, and courts are not actually investigating. They commit murder pursuant to tracking American citizens, and they kill them and conceal the actual criminal conduct that's underway together as an entity. This is surveillance underway in the United States. Okay, I'm going to document a psychopath that's pacing on their property. Facilitating venue, license 8T69325, is monitoring while that demon is at its venue in front of me, pacing back and forth. 6FZV920, 5HZC670, 4WEN845, 8 Robert Edward Frank 597. This is at 729 Princeton Street. License plate 50263 Larry 2. This is a Latino male. And this is at what is, you're going to hear the door close. That's a stalker with impossible light. Gang stalking at your home in state action. That's the ignition, that's audible activity. And they're doing so while they are monitoring. So let me show you where the people of the state are demons who are monitoring where they live. This is relevant to every physical movement that's going on inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, where they're monitoring my movements while they're walking inside of the venue, while they're closing and opening doors, stalking with noise, stalking with impossible light that fills that venue, while they're all under the fake sun that remains over that building. They're monitoring. 7LHT232, and they are acting with regard to what is the conduct on behalf of the government, while a bunch of demon-possessed people of the state are gang stalking with the demon-possessed government that's maintaining criminal surveillance monitoring. All right, and this is documentation of the entity at the 800th block of Princeton and Berlin, gang stalking by helicopter and by planes, and doing so with knowledge of what it is that I'm documenting on my device even before I publish it. And this is the same entity that is engaging in what is locking my X account. And remember what they did before. They removed my published post altogether. And who is stalking while I'm capturing my X account being shown to being operated, controlled over somebody other than myself, which I've not consented to, pursuant to surveillance. It's the same Ontario Police Department that's stalking by helicopter when I'm documenting ongoing iterations of surveillance on the internet. They're going to prison. Okay, and who's engaging in criminal summoning that night? The Ontario Police and Tracy Banks at the ARCO gas station under the fake moon, where the Ontario Police are stalking by helicopter, where they are monitoring the evidence, in other words, aware of every license plate, everyone that's being identified, and the entity is again engaging what is tampering with the platform, an investigation that is serving to prosecute the government's conspiracy to murder, which is not happening secretly with regard to Erica Lorraine Spencer. Not only have I exposed it, but there's going to be some serious means of prosecuting it and the consequences, the repercussions of engaging in terrorism in the United States. They're going to be treated like the enemies that they are. 7K17852, 9VLW827, stalking on the roads and the highways, still obsessively stalking and doing so on behalf of the government. That's also conspiring murder. 8WUB596, that's P.O.C, and that's under the fake sun, which I'm capturing in images at 11:28 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is campus in Princeton. So let me show you the entity that's stalking by planes. while they're acting like they're taking off over the OVITT Family Community Library, like they're taking off when I'm in the parking lot of the ARCO parking lot, and the entity is rising over the houses like you're taking off. They're doing so while I'm at while I'm at campus right now, pacing with the people. TQMIQKA is gang stalking with the entity maintaining aerial surveillance. They're doing so, stalking as an entity under the fake sun with the airport that's engaging in and which shall be shut down for conspiring the murder of an American citizen, gang stalking, and doing so with regard to what is a long existing state surveillance system, which is the U.S. government's pattern of conduct. The U.S. government that is permitting the Ontario police to damage my property, to oppress, seeking and failing at trying to coerce me into doing anything. Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks are going to federal prison. They're not getting any of my money, so you're not going to steal and throw my property away and kidnap me in order to try to subconsciously bully me. Oh, let me just call Tracy. I'll just call her because I don't have anything to keep me warm. And oh, let me just call Jason Fields, and maybe he's not having sex with Tracy Banks at the moment, and then maybe there's hopes that me and him can get together and he'll be a hero, and I'll just give him all my money, and then I won't press any charges, and I'll just remove all my platforms and remove all of my evidence, and then he will not be prosecuted for having conspired my murder already and stealing my identity and feigning an artificial relationship with me where he's been funneling my money and paying people to keep me under surveillance and murder me. All right? All of that. They're delusional. None of that's going to happen. And nor are you engaging in anything other than criminal conduct. All of your delusional aspirations behind that criminal conduct is relevant to your severe mental illness. You're going to prison. 8 p.m. J459. This is what the entity is doing, though. This is relevant to the entity that's engaged in that. Tracy Banks wanted me out of her house. Remember that? May 29, 2025. Who does she call? The demons that are gang stalking me at Berlin and Princeton Street, and still stalking. Has anybody forgotten that she engaged in lying about being my mother and being physically attacked and there being some mental illness on my part? Doing so under the specific environment that I'm documenting day in and day out, where that same gang is engaging in stalking by helicopters and commercial planes while they're stalking in this neighborhood, coming from what would be the same airport, and doing so in a manner that is irreconcilable, and it's also irreconcilable in the specific environment. You're clearly targeting. You're targeting while you're targeting the evidence about you targeting on the internet. You're targeting more so as it is exposed, and that's not helping a case in court. It's certainly not going to cause Tracy Banks and Jason Fields to have any credibility regarding what is inevitable prison. This is an entity that's engaged in that, however. Mike LORENZ is under no circumstances having any effect on my never reaching out to Tracy Banks. Mike LORENZ and Tracy Banks have conspired my murder together. Mike LORENZ and Jason Fields have conspired my murder together. License 2MDREWY is gang stalking as a vicarious actor pursuant to that government system of surveillance, where the entity, a population, is engaging in what is stalking you and doing so as a means of anywhere that you're going. That is a gang stalking community. 5LZC105 under the fake sun. You don't have any shelter from a prosecution. You're gang stalking at your house. You're a fool, and you're putting your information where you don't have any privacy in the first place. You're putting your own information out there while you're gang stalking. 5TGZ877-630 Princeton Street, gang stalk with the people of the state. All right, doing so while the fake sun moves over that venue as I'm walking up the street. This is where the entity is stalking by planes and helicopters. Okay, that's the P.O.C. That's the psychopath that's asking you at the traffic stop, what's your name? Give me your driver's license, as though they don't know who you are, and as though they have authority under the law. They don't have authority under the law with regard to engaging in surveillance, which is proven, and then enforcing what is the law against you as one that's engaging in surveillance, which is criminal. That's not law enforcement. It's diametrically opposed to that. And it's also hypocritical, and it's highly malicious. It is the same formula whereby those that are feigning not engaging in surveillance are taking your life while you're subject to what is an unlawful threat, being stalked, in other words, being kept under surveillance unbeknownst to you, and then feigning as though you are engaging in nothing other than fact gathering. You don't know who that person is. You don't know where they're at. You don't know what they did, and that they're threatening you in one way or another when you have not been proven to be engaging what is keeping them, tracking their steps, knowing everything about them. That's how they commit murder, and then maintain the fraudulent position as being one that is protecting themselves or protecting someone else because they don't know who you are and they don't know the type of threat. That's the gang stalking system. Gang stalking police officers are going to prison, and they're going to be subject to mental examinations. And those that are engaging in kidnapping, like the Ontario Police, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, they're subject to what is disbanding. That's the same with the Upland Police Department. 8XFF874. That is not the only basis of disbanding. The Los Angeles Police Department, Fontana Police Department, engaged in such heavily documented terrorism. It is a basis for disbanding. 9LQY440. They're engaging in what is a criminal enterprise. They are a liability. They're a threat to the public. The entity is maintaining ongoing surveillance, leaving their vehicle lights on, stalking in the path. You can see the fake sun reflecting off of this window of this vehicle right here. I'm taking pictures right now, so you would be looking at my evidence while I'm narrating it. And in court, that's exactly what's going to happen. While you're proving the case, you're going to prosecute everything that's happening with regard to the environment that's moving in real time and what's not simultaneously happening, meaning you're simultaneously prosecuting everyone else and everything else, including that which happened in 2025, in 2024, in 2023, in 2022, based on same time of year, duration of time analysis, because the sun doesn't sit over OVITT Family Community Library for 8 hours all day. My evidence is proving that while the fake sun is remaining over me, moving in real time while I'm walking on Princeton Street. And the airport is stalking by proven through the scientific evidence of the fake sun remaining over me in that irreconcilable manner. This is the entity that commits kidnapping, and the airport shares in kidnapping, a series of them. That's why it's being shut down. 99512B1. The government that's engaged in gang stalking has proven itself to be a threat to the public, and all threats to the public, all threats to the American public are being neutralized. They're being removed altogether. License plate. That includes the police, the fire, the ambulance, so-called AMR. 8CQH534, license 6ZET738, 5 Apple 83961, 7 Robert Larry 269. Demons engaging in surveillance by driving by you. Demons engaging in surveillance by coming outside of their home. Demons engaging in surveillance by staying inside of their home. And demons engaging in surveillance while they're merely in relevant position, the entity sounding sirens, the entity sounding plane activity, the entity sounding helicopter activity. The entity does even more, flying in circles over your head, flying over you, flying around you, you seeing it, you hearing it. The entity's engaging in surveillance. They're monitoring. So there's significance to what you hear, significance to what you see. Everything under the fake sun is serving the elements of monitoring. You're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. This is the entity that's engaging in that, while then they commit kidnapping like what the entity did all together now on what is February 4, 2026, another kidnapping added to the roster. Another kidnapping. Okay? The entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are 1702158. That's a California exhibit. That's Walnut Valley Water District. That's the commercial vehicle that I documented before. So the entity is engaging in, and I documented the fact that it is at 522. I didn't say the address, but it's a commercial vehicle. It's walnutvalleywater.gov at third-party facilitating venue 522 Princeton Street in Ontario, California. So the entity is engaging in kidnapping while all of the demons are hostile about what I'm putting on X, on YouTube, hostile about how I describe them. You're stalking in a bathroom, you're a vagina monitor. I'm going to be very explicit with very graphic with what your sexual violence entails. You're obsessed with my vagina. You're a demon, and you're all in between my legs. Don't get mad at me because I'm putting you on blast about what you do. You and what you like to do while you want to be seen out in public holding the hand of a 3-year-old child. That 3-year-old child that has a vagina, you're a sex offender and you're a risk to their genitalia while you monitor mine. And those are facts. License plate, AZZW912, surveillance. Stalking under the fake sun. So let me show you two, again, these are psychos. They sit around studying their devices. This is what they were doing at Harvard and Euclid under the fake sun, monitoring. You'll see the fake sun, and you'll see the fake sun removing. These are demons associated with the corrupt institution, U.S.C. U.S.C. pumps out the demon-possessed, so-called educated minions in California. There's nothing impressive about U.S.C. Okay, you're talking about corrupt institutions that are designed to maintain and facilitate this corrupt system of surveillance while they are trained to go into medicine. They're vagina monitoring demons who abuse and weaponize the medical field. There's nothing impressive about that. That Satan, that has letters behind their name, which is relevant to the abuse of what is the medical field, the abuse of the legal field, for example, while they're engaging in this criminal system of surveillance. 9JMJ249, 9FEU262, license 9TNG572, and 5RCC500 at 430 North Euclid Avenue. There's no longer any sun over those minions in the vehicle at the white SUV where two demons are sitting there studying their devices. These are demon-possessed people. They act like cockroaches. That they stand upright, they act like cockroaches, and they're just keeping their head down, studying their devices. They're monitoring spirits. They're psychotic. And they are obsessed and addicted to stalking me, the one who against whom their witchcraft is shown. It's not witchcraft, they're just demons. Their demonic behavior, their psychopathic conduct works on them and their inferior mindsets, okay? And the ways in which they are projecting their illnesses onto other people, okay? It does not work against Christ Jesus. That's why they are being prosecuted. They are being humiliated. That's why. That's why they're embarrassed. Cowards, those who are embarrassed, are trying to remove the evidence off the internet. You're supposedly the elite gang squad. Well, the vagina monitors are scared, okay? They're removing evidence off the internet, evidence that you're not even supposed to know is there if nobody's paying attention to me. Right? But everyone also knows that that's not the truth and that you're very much focused on me and my vagina. That's why the light activity and the helicopter activity is directly commensurate with what I say as I say it, what I publish as I publish it. You're going to prison. You're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. These are demons who are engaging in what is failing at accomplishing the actual objective. Not only that, now they're in some alternate universe, which they've always been. Now they're proving points to each other. Oh, well, you know, we're basically, this is the mindset of a loser, okay? Because this was supposed to be some humiliating victory that Satan was going to, and none of that is happening. These are demons. You are inferior. You are a whole vagina monitor. You are less than human. Seriously. You're an animal, okay? So you're engaging in barbaric conduct. You're embarrassed because it's proven with factual, tangible evidence. And so you engage in more criminal conduct, which is going to expose you to the federal repercussions. But you do that because you are in your alternate universe merely trying to make a point in the moment. I feel you ain't, you know, I don't care what you say. So, and so you're stalking with more helicopter. You're a fool. This is not even going to be an Ontario Police Department altogether, but these are fools. License 7JCB010, who is a punk, is gang stalking, but the moment that I document, they're very, very fearful. And the moment that I put them on the internet, they're very, very fearful. Why is it that you want to be a sex offender, but you don't want to be known as a sex offender? That's a spirit, a mentally ill one. A mentally ill one. And you don't get that convenient to secretly target me or anyone else. Mike LORENZ is a violent sex offender. And he's engaging in stalking me by helicopter and kidnapping me because I speak to the fact that he monitors women's vaginas. He's a sex offender. And he does so with a population of homosexual, demon-possessed females who are together obsessing over me. This is the children of the devil. The entities engaging in gang stalking and doing so with the people of the state maintaining their activity creation. Let me give you license 7GFN966. Maintaining surveillance with the state. And that's proven through the fake sun being over me at the facilitating venue, which is not private property, and that's at 11:41 a.m. Irreconcilable with the fake sun. Excuse me, it's not irreconcilable with the fake sun, but it's irreconcilable with failing at and being impossible. It's impossible. The government has no position with regard to establishing that this is a natural environment, that there's no case here, and that it's all nonsense. The entities engaging in what is maintaining the fake sun over me at the OVITT Family Community Library, at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, in Fontana, California, at the Fontana Lewis Library, aboard Omnitrans, public transportation, while I am remaining at hotels such as the Economy Inn off the 60 freeway, the Ontario Airport Inn, at the 10 freeway Inn, while the entities engage in ridiculous asinine conduct that I documented to make sure that they are both diagnosed and criminally prosecuted, such as keeping a fake sun from sunrise until sunset at Woodside Senior Apartments, 408 West G Street, over apartment number 51. That's how you know that they're engaging in surveillance. What was supposed to be an identity of the target individual is actually the ability to target the government. All right, now that's called a return to sender. The entities engaging in foolish conduct, which is also not psychologically accomplishing your objectives either. It's not any confusion, and there is no ability for something that's inferior to you, such as demons, to play psychological games. You can't play with my mind. My mind is elite compared to you. You're an animal. You are beneath me. That's why you're gang stalking me. First of all, number one, that's how you know the fact about what you are, based on what you're doing. Number two, it is impossible for you to accomplish what is the purpose behind gang stalking in the first place by helicopter. That's supposed to be the scariest, most terrorizing thing that's ever thought of. And I'm literally capturing, like, this is all they have. This is what they do. They do this over and over and over again. And they're also doing it while they know they have already lost. And by knowledge of that, that's proven through the surveillance of the evidence. But it's more it's more damning than that, because the entity is speaking to what is the ongoing pattern of conduct while the state of California, a whole bunch of vagina monitors in the city of Ontario, for example, 8 VAX 924, third-party license plate, in the United States Postal Service gang stalking, including at Berlin and Princeton Street, walking in, wanting to share in what is the experience of gang stalking me. It's the admission of demons that are inferior to me, who are obsessed with me, obsessed with my vagina, obsessed with my skill set. It's giving glory to the Lord God himself, because the demons are inferior to him, but also it's relevant to what is, more importantly, in what is spiritual warfare, where Satan is not posing any war or is no formidable adversary to Christ Jesus. It is criminal conduct for which you will be prosecuted. You are being prosecuted. And it's literally science itself. Nobody, no NASA employee, no expert is going to get on the stand and entertain the nonsense, which is proven factual information, that the sun is going to sit and be visible at one venue, such as the OVITT Family Community Library, from 7 to 4 p.m., 7 to 5, 6 p.m. That in and of itself is subject to what is analysis, legal analysis, upon what is factual analysis, upon what is informing the masses about what is very much supernatural, and the tangible evidence regarding the supernatural is informing how you're prosecuting a government that is mentally ill to employ such tactics to target someone, to lie on them, to steal from them. And my point being, the entity is doing so while they actually thought that there was some competition to steal my money by defaming me. And when that didn't work, they kept on stalking, as though proving that its defamation is still going to work in your favor, while I continuously document you targeting me. And while you're targeting me, you're proven to be having engaged in a campaign of defamation. And so ongoing harassment and targeting is supposed to cause someone to react in some manner that's still getting to the same. You didn't get the point. You defame me, that's a criminal act. So you're still targeting. That's the ongoing delusion regarding someone appearing mentally ill while you are targeting them. Period. This is the entity that's mentally ill. They are deficient. Okay? And what do? They listen, they sit around, they boil, okay? Their heads pop, and then they pull out the helicopter. Okay? This is the entity that's inferior. Literally inferior. Who told Satan that he was some winner in the first place? He's not. He's damned to hell in the first place. License 9MWK749, and I'm referring to Satan because he is what is possessing a population of losers who have sacrificed themselves. I'm telling you, you sacrificed your children, you sacrificed your mind, your well-being, you sacrificed your careers, meaning the money that you have, or money you have access to, or money that you can make, meaning you're talking about homelessness, being impoverished, being transient. You're talking about what is an abrupt change in your lifestyle from living a certain manner that you're accustomed to as thieves, as a people, as terrorists, as a people, to a population of homeless people. And that's not an exaggeration. Loss of your businesses, loss of your citizenship in this country, which is going to result in that which I just mentioned as well. Homelessness in some other country. Imprisonment in some other country, okay? You're talking about imprisonment in the United States as well. Federal imprisonment. You're talking about loss of your ability to make decisions on your own because you've been proven to be incompetent. And this type of incompetence is that which is psychopathic, meaning we're not stating that you don't know what you're doing. Mike LORENZ knows exactly what he's doing when the helicopters of the Ontario Police Department are stalking me day and night, and doing so while simultaneously, as I documented and have proven, are maintaining an ongoing failed campaign to defame my character while you're engaging in criminal activity. Secondly, trying to remove the evidence of you stalking, which everybody already knows, off the venue of the internet, while you are simultaneously stalking at the same time. At the same time, these are fools and they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. Okay, so this is the population, this is the reality that of what is terrorism in the United States, and terrorism is going to be treated very seriously, just like it is when Osama bin Laden is engaging in it. These are homegrown terrorist enemies, such as license 65411 Edward 3, acting with complete disregard regarding their so-called American citizenship, regarding their so-called constitutional rights that they are exploiting and that they do not have to engage in targeting, which is what the entire state of California is engaging in. There is not one constitutional right that they maintain, because because they are vicariously acting on behalf of the state of California. That is the U.S. government. You don't have any warrant or probable cause to be in any of the homes, to be in the sky space, to be at any of the venues where they're at. And that ongoing strip down of the U.S. government's exploitation and shared criminal system with the people is that which is serving to prosecute. You're talking about literally being, as I've stated before, being the Oprah Winfrey of federal prosecutions. One for you, one for you, one for you, one for everybody's getting one. Because the entities engaging in surveillance through as the government. Every single last business and the businesses on the venue of the internet are engaging in surveillance. And it is means of, and I've proven how, it is a means of targeting me and also obstructing justice while they targeted me. And then I sought to prosecute it. And then you see how they sought to obstruct justice, and that I'm going to prosecute you for that. I'm getting more damages with interest for that. And it is that which has never before contemplated under existing federal law. And federal laws that shall come into existence to deal with that which I have proven is the case. The U.S. government is engaging in surveillance in the United States. 5TGZ 355, 9VEW 806, 7FAK 880, 9BMG 868, 5MTC 425, 8R 87539, 73539N2, 9CTS 850, license 5HEF 125. Demons, by the way, do not have a race. They don't have an age bracket. They don't have an income range. They don't have a gender. Okay? They do not have an industry. This is Satan that is using a people that have an array of positions, and people of every race, of every age, including under the age of majority. You're not more likely or less likely to be a demon based on your age or your race or where you live. This is shown through the environment and the behavioral pattern. License CA4N10. It is the P.O.C. and the U.S. government understand that this has been ongoing for decades. And you're talking about Satan that has ruled over a people for a prolonged period, and they came across the wrong one. That's the bottom line. Satan is being exposed, and this is the time in history where Christ Jesus is making it very clear about what's about to happen to all of the devil's children. 3146 3L3. Gang stalking at 4th Street, where you're crossing path, gang stalking on the roads and the highways. This is a federal stalking statute. 18, section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. They're all stalking, no warrant or probable cause. You're talking about strict liability basis. This is why I document their license plates. I'm going to prosecute. It's going to be a beheading in federal court. License plate 9AQH491. 9MTX132, 78050 U.S, 7CTK621, 9TRF, hold on, 9TRF, I can't really see that one. I'm trying to get a picture at the same time. License 9MLU394, 9JML989, while Impossible Light moves across the Euclid vias. These are demons, okay? They're all psychos, they're all vagina monitors, they're all stalking as a population. And then removing the evidence about them being stalkers and demons off the internet, you're going to prison. I wish Osama bin Laden would try to remove the evidence from the custody of the federal government. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 61607R2, they're psychotic. They've gone way out of line, 8UDJ219, and you're going to prison for it. You're going to find out how severe it is. You're going to learn. At 7VZE248, stalking as demons, which is terrorism, and stalking as demons as a population, terrorism. P.O.C. 8YOM754. It's 11:52 a.m. License 5NQB264, 7DVG555. 8UUK248, 9PJJ830, 9SUN414, 9TQK816, 7CKJ170, 8LEX422. Plaza Serena Court and Euclid Avenue at 11:56 a.m. I'm approaching I Street, I as in Indiana, where the fake sun is progressing over my head as I'm walking in the opposite direction on the same street where the entity had the fake sun, as I'm walking in the opposite direction, but it's not moving in the opposite direction over everyone else. We are not sharing the same status. And there is a clear distinction between demons and those to whom are inferior to me, all of them that are stalking me. 5HDE221, POC. Stalking at I Street and Euclid, 6UOG107, and this is the old white man. Oh, old white woman, ML078, handicap. License 8RDV051, and it's psychopathic pacing. Okay? When they're going back and forth on opposite sides of the road, these are demons that are pacing. It's not traffic. 6PFV418, 9DMF593, 6HXH134. The demons that are, again, exceedingly excited around me are psychopathic, and they engage in pacing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth while they're stalking me. And you looking and witnessing their mental illness of them pacing all around me is shown in the engineered environment under a fake sun. License plate 88QB540. License plate 38400 Apple 3. 9BNC 912, 9UYN 606, 8YJJ 655, P.O.C. 67025 Apple 3. And the government that's engaging in surveillance through a population is a government that's going to be gutted out. The City of Ontario is going to be Exhibit A of that, the template for how you're going to prosecute. These cities and these counties, they have attorneys. These are attorneys that are not legitimate. They're criminals using their bar as a means of facilitating criminal activity, by the way. But this is the means of prosecuting. In the same way the government has a means of these positions, they're all corrupt while the whole system is being exposed. And I'm going to prosecute you with regard to that same system that's in existence. I'm going to prosecute you. Local, state, federal, P.O.C. 04790B3. 6CAT 717. That's why you have the county sheriff gang stalking you. That's why you have the city police gang stalking you. That's why you have the ambulances in the cities gang stalking you. That's why you have the city and county fire departments gang stalking you. That's why you have the entity using the channels of interstate commerce, aerial surveillance, the cities using its planes, using the commercial airline planes, using the airport, stalking you. Be prepared, because the flip side of that is going to be very painful. Very painful. License plate, I'm going to prosecute you. License. BLSSYNS, P.O.C. License 57155V2. License 7RWY381 9MNB105. If you'll recall my documentation of American Inn, where the fake sun is over me, perfectly aimed through my hotel room window, where the entity is, not coincidentally right now. Again, the idiocy of what they do, they always provide confirmation as you're analyzing it. The entity is providing confirmation that everybody that's being documented is stalking. But on this same street, American Inn, the hotel room that I was inside, I'm looking at it from outside. I'm looking at it from the outside where the airport is stalking. I'm looking at it from the outside where the airport is stalking in concert with the people of the state under a fake sun, the same fake sun that is 5 hours from now, that is 5 hours earlier rather, that's 5 hours from now, but 5 hours earlier during daylight savings time also. So you're talking about what would be it is February 4th, so that would be 1 p.m. during daylight savings time. 7 during the 7 a.m. hour, the fake sun's aimed in alignment to my hotel room window. That's speaking to the state. That's a vagina monitor, keeping you under surveillance in a private space such as a hotel room. And doing so while you are monitoring everything. You're monitoring while I'm nude. You're pacing all around, meaning they're engaging in that pacing conduct inside of the hotel rooms, inside of the building, the entire venue of that hotel. They're doing so in the parking lot. They're doing so on the roads and the highways. They're doing so in the sky space, like the Ontario International Airport proves, while Southwest Airlines is stalking where I stop, where the fake sun is. Nowhere near OVITT Family Community Library, by the way. Nowhere near the bus stop. Nowhere near Bethel Congregation. Nowhere near the ARCO parking lot. Nowhere near downtown Ontario luxury apartments where they're doing cartwheels over that apartment building while they're stalking me under a fake sun. And doing so, the signature, as I start documenting, the Ontario International Airport starts stalking. As I start documenting, the Ontario Police start stalking conspicuously using the channels of interstate commerce, helicopters and planes in the sky space, in furtherance of murder. That's an epic RICO case, by the way. An epic RICO case. But it's also the basis of prison. Okay, the demons that are flying these planes and helicopters, they're going to prison. There will be no anonymity. There's no mystery. You get ready because you're getting locked up. In addition to that, big picture, September 1st, 2025, the fake sun during the 7 a.m. hour at 755 North Euclid Avenue, the fake sun's in alignment to my hotel room, which is on video. It's indisputable. All right. And I'm looking at the outside of that same hotel while the fake sun is over me at 12:03 p.m. where the sun is not going to be in that same position. Moreover, the sun wouldn't even be a low-hanging object for me to capture while I'm on the second floor of that hotel in the first place. As it's shooting light, because that's what you're supposed to believe, that that's the sun, and also that that's light shooting horizontally through the bathroom. None of that is the case also in the natural environment, but it is the documented pattern of stalking with light where your vagina is under surveillance in a hotel room. That's the government, that's a sex offender. That's Southwest Airlines, that's a sex offender. That's also engaging in what is targeting on the internet, such as removing your evidence that the government is a sex offender, actively working toward murdering you. And companies like Southwest Airlines are going to be criminally and civilly prosecuted, and many also are going to cease to exist. Their businesses aren't going to be around anymore, just so that you know that. But this is where the entity is engaging in that, and that's at the same venue where I am in front of that American Inn. And then on that day, I walked to the Ramada by Wyndham. All right, I walked to that. In other words, I walked east on G Street to the Ramada by Wyndham. The fake sun is over me in the afternoon, and I'm reminding you about the United States Postal Service. I had the fake sun over me at the same time when I was engaging in going to a different place and taking pictures of the fake sun over me at the same time, where the sun would not even be in one city, but speaking to the centrality of me in that city as I'm documenting that phenomenon, as opposed to what is the natural environment of the sun, that's a gaseous ball of fire, that's in constant movement, that's not going to be in one city for the duration of the day, and it's not going to be on one street for the duration of the day, and it's not going to be captured, as I've shown, over one person, including as that one person stays at one address for the duration of the day. All right, that's where the Ontario police are vagina monitors. Demons that make themselves feel better by stalking, that's going to their mental illness. You feel better as a defeated criminal, a vagina monitor, to stalk that person that has already completed prosecuting you, has already completed proving that you've been targeting with regard to their character so that you can get away with stealing millions of dollars while you're a paid criminal and one that's enabling a public to do so. That's relevant to their mental illness. It makes them feel better even though they have lost in what should be no competition, because there's no such thing as a competition with regard to trying to kill someone and get away with it. These are mentally ill people in every regard, but nonetheless, I'm not only exposing to you for purposes of prosecuting, I'm exposing their mental illness. Okay, so they're being dragged for the mentally ill entity of stalkers and perverts and genitalia surveyors that they are. Okay, and they're over and under the age of majority. They're of all races, of all ages, at all socioeconomic statuses. Okay, they're in the ghetto, gang stalking and monitoring your genitalia. They're in the suburbs, gang stalking and monitoring, guess what, your genitalia. And they want you to think differently of them. That's Satan wants you to think differently of them while they drive a Maserati versus driving what is a broken down Honda Civic, okay, that they've been putting together since 1992. Cannot pay their rent, getting food stamps, gang stalking me. All of them the same uniform. The infection is demon possession. The status is criminal defendant. It's the U.S. government. 5JLW207, AZ96039. This is the pattern of conduct. A bunch of demons lined up to be slaughtered, to be honest with you. They're being prosecuted. This is P.O.C. They've sacrificed themselves. They've sacrificed the ability to appear as anything other than that they are, which is Satan. Satan trying to act like he's out here being a thug. Satan's out here winning. Satan's out here being elite. Satan's out here creating the cool girls and boys. No, he's not. Satan's a vagina monitor. Satan's a loser. Satan is a flunky. And only losers would subscribe to that, would believe that in the first place. Many have subscribed to it because they were coerced into it. They were bullied themselves and they became one of them. Which is not an excuse in my book, but this is the government that bullies people into this conduct. They put spirits on them. They're demon possessed. License AVGK846, 3KFC051, 9UXZ355. There's nothing cool about demons. They're perverts, they're losers, they're jealous, they're haters. All right, they can't create anything, they can't make up anything, they can't come back with anything. You engage in more of the defeated conduct that's already fully documented with their eyes closed and their backs to me. The feds know that you're stalking me. They already know everything that I say. They already know. P.O.C. License 6GBT384, 9DTJ730. It is currently 12:08 p.m. That's a demon engaging in surveillance at bucket, crabs, and crawfish. That's called audible activity. while you're stalking in the path, and that's a business that's sharing in that surveillance. They're making money while they're in a relevant position, and the government is gang stalking on the roads and the highways through the people of the state. BSER97, and that's a vagina monitor. That's a psychopath. That's someone whose mind is absurdly out of pocket, okay? That's a reference to the vernacular. They're bat poo crazy, and that's not an exaggeration. These are people that are on the brink of desperation, and they're demons, and they are desperate to appear otherwise. The demon-possessed are losers. They're, and this is not name calling, this is the reality. They're losers, they're hellbound, they're engaging in criminal conduct, that's not a secret, and they literally make themselves feel better by murdering other people and targeting other people. They know exactly where they're going to hell. They're going straight to hell. But you're gonna run through this prosecution first. I'm prosecuting you, and I have the authority of Christ Jesus. That's why the fake sun is over me, by the way. It's 12:09 p.m. What are the Upland Police Department doing at 9 o'clock in the morning? Coming from the parking lot behind the bus stop where I'm subject to this same pattern of conduct at this same intersection, 537 North Euclid Avenue. What are they doing? It's relevant to vagina monitoring. They're stalking in a police vehicle, okay, with their demonic brothers, okay, all these homosexuals gang stalking me, these demons. All right, they're engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's why the fake sun is over me now. And they're going to federal prison. The entity committed kidnapping. That's what Owens and Craig Hazelwood are committing with regard to what is being hostile, engaging in retaliatory conduct, because you're embarrassed, because you are proven to be in the wrong. You're proven to be being investigated yourself. Your ego can't handle that. Nobody cares about your ego, Satan. You were never that which you try to promote yourself as in the first place. Never. You're not. Satan is a liar. Satan's out here promoting lies. Satan's out here acting like he's something and he's not. That's why a whole campaign is underway against one little old person. One little old me. There's a reason why. There's a reason why. And that reason is going to be proven also through literally Christ Jesus prosecuting, dragging the demons through the federal court system. License plate. This is the fake sun over me right now. All right, Upland Police are targeting with the city of Ontario. Mike LORENZ is being federally prosecuted for that. All right, the demons of the city of Upland, they have their own to deal with, but I'm dealing with the demons by jurisdiction, showing you that there's a pattern of conduct from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. It is a statewide pattern of conduct, and you're talking about what is the U.S. government's P.O.C. That's why in jurisdiction to jurisdiction, it's identical. They're sharing coming into another's jurisdiction to target me, proven through that environment. And I've gone to each and every jurisdiction and shown you the pattern of conduct is the same. And they're obsessed with my vagina the same. And they are losers and flunkies the same. And I'm going to prosecute. I'm going to drain the financial life because that's justice. It's P.O.C. 9KSS 304. 8XHP 561. This is P.O.C. It's currently 12:11 p.m. All right, Chevron is stalking with the people of the state that are coming. This is the federal RICO case, and it's the criminal prosecution for terrorists that are targeting you as customers at facilitating venues such as business establishments that are engaging in surveillance with the government. These are, Chevron is literally stalking under the fact pattern. Chevron is stalking, and so are the people of the state stalking in that psychotic means by going to a venue to pose as a customer when it's the government stalking you. 8TKK 643, 7KPF 844, sexual assault and battery by all of them, including Chevron, 9HVA 812, license 5TRS 170, 7XIY 347. And what you'll see about the entity that's stalking now at 12:14 p.m., it's the same crime scene at 7 in the morning. These are sex offenders that are obsessed with vagina. And that obsession with vagina is criminal. And it's going to affect them, their custody of children, their citizenship in this country, their criminal record, their ability to remain inside or outside of a mental facility and prison. P.O.C. License 6P34480. And you all know, relevant to those that committed kidnapping, the audacity of these these cockroaches of Starbucks. The entity has the fake sun over me while Chevron is prosecuting Starbucks. It's all taking care of itself. They're going to prison for gang stalking at 7:15 in the morning, where L. Edwards, 8 Casada, and Alex Escobar are kidnapping with the people of the state. 8PKR 423. All right, and that's why the fake sun is over me. And Chevron, business establishments will be prosecuted as sex offenders. Business establishments will be prosecuted as terrorists. Business establishments will be prosecuted for stalking. You are stalking as an establishment while that fake sun is over me, while that engineer light is molesting, is present, is terrorizing me. And you are also making money. Be prepared for that draining of pockets. License plate ARCO is stalking. This is the same crime scene at 7, 8, 9, 10 in the morning. And I'm over off of Princeton and Berlin today, where the people that stayed are gang stalking. 7HWX195. That's ARCO and ARCO's employees. License 9HVA408. Stalking in the path. Coming and driving in front of you is surrounding you. That's the government stalking. That's the government threatening. That's the government that's obsessed with your genitalia. Okay, license plate 8KAL283. This is the parking lot where the entity is under no circumstances simultaneously taken off from the same airport, hovering over the demons over here at Lemon and East Street and all over the housing community, and also not clearly engaging in anything other than hovering, migrating as I am north of this location to be hovering over Princeton and Berlin. You're stalking. You are also stalking because the fake sun is proving that you're stalking. You are also stalking because the engineered light is proving that you're stalking. You're also stalking because Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 is irreconcilable with why are you there in that sky space? How are you able to do that without establishing that you are targeting in the environment? But the fake sun in silence, you could put it on mute. And I'm going to drag Southwest Airlines. You can put it on mute. You don't have to hear anything. It's ongoing proven evidence. License 7EJU276 gang stalk with the demon at the OVITT Family Community Library entrance with peculiarized light. This is what the demons are doing, stalking while I'm at Vesta this morning under the fake sun. Keeping their hazards on while the fake sun moves over me, it's monitoring. License 1005082, stalking with the demon at the OVITT Family Community Library with a method of light activity, the same library where the fake sun is already present over me at 7 in the morning. It's what I documented yesterday. Not today. That's the entity that's stalking. Stalking in a highly unintelligent manner, meaning it is proven, and it's proven what the entire country is engaged in. License 9GSU113EM08D56 paper, stalking with the demon at the OVITT Family Community Library, maintaining mass facilitation, light activity. This is occurring in the form of what are commercial actors as well. Oh, I'm making a delivery, that's why I have my hazard lights on. Oh, I'm cleaning the sidewalk, I'm potting the flowers, that's why I have my hazard lights on. Oh, I'm gonna go in and use the bathroom like the vagina monitor Vector at 9:59 a.m. and that's why I have my hazard lights on under that fake sun. All the vagina monitors that are maintaining businesses, I'm going to prosecute you for the embarrassing federal offense of vagina monitoring. And it will be, for many of you, the end of your existence. License plate 9BJJ178 P.O.C. License 8JLF350, stalking with the demon that's maintaining surveillance with the one maintaining their hazard lights on at OVITT. License plate 507599, sexual assault and battery. There's no light that's coming from the sun, first of all, that's stalking, and that's a vagina monitor that wants to touch me. These closeted homosexuals in California need to be known. You need to understand that and I said exactly what I'm saying, every single female is a closeted homosexual. They are demon possessed. This is Satan's people who are being prosecuted, and they engage in homosexual behavior while they're stalking a woman, while they're monitoring a woman, touching her that she is whom they are obsessed with in manners that defy nature and common sense based on that extreme obsession, while they maintain relationships with the opposite sex. 9FWW963, in the reality is they obsess over my bodily fluids that they seek out in trash cans and in toilets, and they think that they're going to become more beautiful, they're going to become more successful, they're going to become more vibrant, and they're not. They're demons, and God has made them cockroaches and infected brains. They're sickos. You're not getting anything from that. That's why you're out here stalking me under the fake sun and being prosecuted and embarrassed. 9BTX041. Their wounds are cursed. They're demons. They give birth to the dead. These are the demon possessed. And you need to know that in California, they're homosexual women. They're not actually interested in you. They don't love you. These are demons. Satan is not capable of love. I can break some spiritual truths down from this criminal conduct that's proven with tangible evidence. And that's the city of Ontario maintaining criminal light activity. Okay? This is P.O.C. This is what Vector is doing at 9:59 in the morning. This is the pattern of conduct. This is federal prison. This is Paul Leon. You're talking about the city of Ontario. Doing so while I'll show you the fake sun. She is indeed stalking. And it's not going to be based on some concession. That's the OVITT employee library. That's the OVITT employee. Okay, that's the same city of Ontario, but this is one of the demons that work in there, pacing all around. She's very awkward in her posture and how she works anyway. But she's an employee inside of the venue, driving a city of Ontario vehicle to engage in what is harassment. To do so while they're again hostile. Every time I go somewhere else and I use OVITT Family Community Library, those demons again, in the same way that they do with helicopter activity, they go out of their way. For what? Self-destructive purposes. You're going to prison. So, well, you'll be around people just like you, homosexuals, and you don't have to act anymore. You could be exactly who you are. Satan. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and that's an OVITT employee operating a City of Ontario vehicle. And as I approach, that's when the demon is making a U-turn and driving away. They're monitoring with everybody that I just documented. Monitoring while I'm inside of Chevron, and all those demons enter into, with regard to the government that's stalking you, through the population that enters into any venue, any store, any library, any parking garage, any mall, any housing complex, housing subdivision, everywhere that they're living, they're stalking. They're monitoring. And here's the fake sun as I arrive at the OVITT Family Community Library. I just want to be clear. You have those that are librarians, and they're going to federal prison. They're going from book stacks to federal prison. All right, that's the reality. And they are showing how much it is worthy. You need to be aware of those criminals that would hide amongst us in what is supposedly everyday society, and there's nothing everyday about it. They're demons, and they're hiding amongst us, and they're cockroaches that are fully exposed. It's P.O.C. It's currently 12:21 p.m. Hi, Jennifer. How's it going? P.O.C. Monitoring.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Katie. Bye. You going downstairs? You're not working up here today? Oh, okay. See you later. Funny, funny, funny. Yesenia, when you get a second, can I just get the wipes, please? And I guess when you're done, I just want to find out if you have any study rooms available when you're done.
Yes, please.
Excuse me. That is indeed Yesenia, the vagina monitor, stalking by being in the path as I exit the library while an entity keeps you under surveillance in a perverted manner, such as bathroom monitoring, and then is there to greet you by, as a demon does, with their back to you, to the side of you, not looking at you, not addressing you, and that's supposed to suggest that they're not stalking you, that they're not targeting you. And you're going to use that evidence, which is evidence of malice and severe mental instability, to prosecute and diagnose. And the evidence of the fake sun being over me on Princeton and Berlin, down Princeton to Euclid, onto what is then East Street and Lemon to the OVITT Family Community Library is also proving that Yesenia is a vagina monitor. In doing so, gang stalking me and furtherance of murder by place of employment, the exceedingly violent and malicious pattern of conduct is serving for prison, okay? Because they're also engaging in surveillance of the evidence. And so since you like to continuously engage in terrorism in the United States with the government, doing so while you have witnessed the fact that, oh yeah, this is unlawful. If you are a Neanderthal and you didn't know that it's unlawful, that it's inappropriate, that it's not desired, if you're that far unevolved, then you learned it throughout the documentation process, and that informed your ongoing terrorism and sexual violence, such as monitoring my vagina. All right, and the entity's engaging in that with regards to, it's not just sexual violence, which is enough, okay? It's sexual violence committed in furtherance of murder, in anticipation of murder. Okay, so that's no ordinary sex offender, no ordinary sexual violence. And this is what's working at the desk, crossing path, pacing in the engineer light, gang stalking under a fake sun that travels over me everywhere I'm going. And I went right into the OVITT Family Community Library where all of the demons are pacing around stalking. Mentally ill stalkers that are have lost in their wage. They've sacrificed themselves. And all I'm doing is showing you this is the people that are mentally ill. They're criminals. This is what they do. And this is what you're going to do as a matter of a federal response. This is what justice requires. And this is what I am going to get. And it's going to establish precedent in this country. It's 12:25 p.m. This is P.O.C.
All right, there's a third party operating the white van with the, I believe they are Michigan plates. Benjamin is the third party owner. Rosa is her name, and she has 4 minor children that are engaged in vagina monitoring. They're doing so while they are stalking in the path with the people of the state that are engaging in this level of surveillance regarding my vagina. Dylan of Securitas is stalking in the path. A third party that is gang stalking enters into the bathroom. Remember, the bathroom has engineer light. The entity is doing so while the entity is maintaining surveillance all around outside, such as the light activity in that specific environment. And
And this is all because the entity is very hostile. The demon-possessed are violent sex offenders, and they employ sexually violent tactics with regard to retaliating. Okay, Rosa is a sex offender. Rosa's minor children are sex offenders. She is operating Benjamin's white van with the Michigan plates. This is why they are right here at the entrance while they're keeping my vagina together as a demon-possessed family under surveillance. They're psychopaths that pace inside of the library in Engineer Light all day long with the demons that are stalking obsessively. This is a picture of obsession and mental illness at the OVITT Family Community Library, where Sarah's Regis Group is engaged in the sex offense, keeping a surveillance underway by the population and the government in the bathroom of the OVITT Family Community Library, doing so while the entity is tracking my steps inside and outside. This demon on surveillance cameras sharing in that sexual violence. This is what the demons do. They keep you under surveillance on the internet, and then they employ sexual methods of violating your privacy, gang stalking you, and that's supposed to stop the evidence. And what it is showing is how the government is a sex offender and how the entity has shown and proven itself to be not only incompetent, it's shown itself to be an unreliable pervert, highly untrustworthy, and entirely unreliable. These are the sex offenders that are engaging in that. And this is the sexual assault and battery committed by what is an entity that is stalking with light. This is the sex offender that enters into the restroom with Dylan that's surrounding on the outside. So we're going to get this in plate. And this is psychopathic pacing. They're all pacing at Engineer Light, monitoring me together. This is mentally ill behavior. This is the P.O.C, sex offender license 8JLD652. With regard to the vagina monitor, that is Mike Lorenz and the agency. That's why the Ontario Airport is stalking at the entrance. And this is the sexual violence that is serially underway by the OVITT Family Community Library. That's the city of Ontario. All that coordinated conduct, all about my vagina, okay? Alan D. WAPNER is no president of Airport Authority. He's a dirty old bastard. He's being removed from his position. He's going down in history as a violent sex offender. That's the same with airlines that are going to be prosecuted as third-party co-conspirators of murder, obsessing over the genitalia while they're maintaining criminal surveillance. They also are doing so while surveillance is underway on the internet. And the entity that is mentally ill and incompetent and obsessed with my vagina employs what are tactics regarding coordinated surveillance efforts surrounding getting me in the bathroom. Okay, Securitas, Dylan, stalking at the elevator, that third party, that license plate coming into the restroom, doing so while the entity is tracking my steps, making sure, like what Dylan is doing while I'm getting on the elevator, as I walk outside. This is what Yesenia is doing as I walk outside. This is what the demon possessed are doing while they're crossing path, maintaining surveillance inside of the bathroom. It's the same pattern. This is the entity that had the fake sun over me as I arrived today, not the natural environment where it would have already been here, and it would have evolved away from the city of Ontario, the state of California, as opposed to setting here and denying the state of Florida any opportunity to be any sort of sunshine state. Okay, any sort of sunshine whatsoever. That's how you know that they're engaging in that conduct. And this is relevant to the entity that's engaging in surveillance with the sex offenders of the Ontario Police Department. All right, the entity is going to be disbanded because the Ontario Police is maintaining surveillance in ways that are unheard of with regard to the level of perversion, combining mental illness and demon possession. That is the entity that's gang stalking. You're stalking in that environment with multiple shadows on the sign. They're still stalking with light. They commit sexual assault and battery as they touch you with Engineer Light, and that's a demon that thinks that they're cloaked when they are engaging what is molesting you and touching you with Engineer Light. This is the pattern of conduct. You're not doing anything other than stalking, and it's surveillance. And they go into the bathroom on behalf of the vagina monitor, Mike Lorenz, P.O.C. It is currently 6:01 p.m. Rosa, and she's engaged in what is sexual violence, facilitating sexual violence, engaging in it. Just like you would not commit any sex crime against another person, like raping them, Rosa likes to include her minor children in sexual violence that she is committing as a homosexual demon who's living her life as one that's ostensibly heterosexual, but she's not. She's obsessed with my vagina, and so are her children. I'm going to prosecute her as a child abuser and engaging in sexual violence with minor children with the government. P.O.C. It is currently 6:01 p.m. This is 537 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun was over me at 12 o'clock at Bethel Congregation, and where Upland Police were stalking here at 9 a.m. This is their stalking conduct. They are the people of the state. And they are terrorists who are still engaging in gang stalking. That's going to be relevant in federal court when I prosecute the people of the state. Every household, every third party documented by business, documented by license plate, documented by address. They are acting together while the Ontario International Airport is still stalking me. And you're looking at the video of them gang stalking me at other places, like flying over the Stater Brothers Ontario Village Shopping Center last night, specifically the back portion where the coin laundry is. They were flying there. And I was reminding you about this while they're ducking behind like they're landing here. There's nothing back there. I showed you. There's nothing other than houses. All the people that say that I already documented. Gang stalking me. It's the P.O.C.
That's the people of the state stalking in the path. They can't help themselves. These people are dead. And the dead people are going to be federally prosecuted because they're suicidal. Okay, they are on the brink regarding what is criminal conduct that they're not secretly engaging in anymore, and they're doing it in the name of the government. The government's going to be prosecuted. The people of the state are going to be stopped in their tracks. They're the domestic terrorists in the U.S. It's P.O.C. And not only is this third party acting as an entity, whatever venue they get out of their car and go to, such as Starbucks, they're being prosecuted. There is nothing that they're doing other than the P.O.C. This is all engineer light. Demons. 610228 Larry 3. This is impunity. The government has no right, and the government's going to be federally prosecuted. While the government acts through the masses who are mentally ill, still stalking, and the federal government says stop, there's a response for that. And it's going to hurt. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10 p.m. on the dot. Environment where the airport is stalking. Okay? Here's one shadow, and here's another shadow reaching over here. And this is a stalker on the roads and the highways. This is the government. This is P.O.C. A tacky demon. License plate 5YIR629. P.O.C. There are no such thing as gangsters who are demon possessed and who are gang stalking. There's no such thing as a gang stalking gangster. Okay? That's the P.O.C. Demons are cowards and they're dead. That's why they're obsessed with you, stalking you, by the way. P.O.C. This is exactly what they were doing at the Stater Brothers Ontario Village Shopping Center. The stalkers of the airport, the stalkers of the so-called police department. A gang stalker police department is not a police department. But that's El Pescador, stalking with light. This is, again, the state of California on the roads and the highways, and that's a demon of the Ontario police as well. They were also stalking at the, that's vehicle 1140. They were also stalking, by the way. This conspicuous stalking, that's why they're being disbanded, by the way. Engaged in that pattern of conduct, this is no response. You've already lost and you're going to prison. You're going to be committed. They're mentally ill while they're driving around in police vehicles as though they are sound and competent, and they're witnessing their demise happening in real time on the internet. And then they engage in what is damaging my property and kidnapping me as a response. You are already proven as incompetent. You're proven as being obsessed with me. You're proven as being a stalker. You're proven as murderers and kidnappers. You're psychopaths who are engaging in what is criminal conduct, malicious, mentally ill behavior, likened to those who eat feces, okay, out of their underwear. That's what's stalking me in helicopters and stalking with the people of the state in this specific environment. That's what's stalking. And this is why they're being disbanded, because this is criminal conduct that the entity is responsible for. But what you saw at the Village Center, license plate 9EDJ395, 9GPR256, that's the entity that's gang stalking. And I just want to be clear, the feces consumers are in Ontario police vehicles. The feces and consumers are in the third party vehicles. They're all gang stalking in a specific environment on the roads and the highways. It's federal stalking for Mike LORENZ, federal stalking for the Ontario Police Department. It's federal stalking by the City of Ontario. That's a prosecution that's serving for what is the removal from office for who is not a mayor, Paul Leon. Okay, he's not a mayor. This is P.O.C. Paul Leon's being prosecuted by this documentation, and he's going to be prosecuted for every kidnapping that the City of Ontario committed. And he did so, the evidence shows, with knowledge of him being documented, because I'm documenting the mayor, I'm documenting every gang stalking police chief, I'm documenting the fire chief, I'm documenting the airport, the so-called airport authority, I'm documenting them while they are gang stalking with the people of the state. The demon-possessed gargoyles themselves, who sit around lurking in the dark, stalking with light, where your headlights are not reaching me across the street, where you're not doing anything other than sitting around lusting over my vagina. And then you think you're going to go on the internet and remove my evidence of me prosecuting you. You're delusional, which your gang stalking shows. But your delusion is going to result in what is federal prison, mental asylums, deportation, loss of custody and access to children, like terrorists shall be treated. This is P.O.C. This is the Ontario Police. So when they want to make a turn, because there's nothing stopping them, because I'm going to document, this is the state. License 8SSV957, that's a sex offender, a driver and a passenger. That's light activity while they're in the engineered light. Demons that are not intelligent are vicariously acting on behalf of the state. That's P.O.C. That's impossible light. They're stalking me. I'm not in the way. They're coming here to stalk. That's the pattern of conduct. Ontario police are engaged in stalking me, just like the Ontario International Airport at the Stater Brothers Ontario Village Shopping Center. You see the entity stalking flying over the back portion of that Ontario Village Shopping Center. Moments later, I'm getting the Ontario police stalking at the back portion of that Ontario Village Shopping Center. And this is the entity that removes the evidence off the internet while these sex offenders are identified. And they will be identified, and they're going to be prosecuted even more profusely while the entity threatens my life, removing evidence. You have the audacity as an incompetent feces consumer touching any evidence prosecuting you that's serving the
serving to benefit the public. These are terrorists that are going to be prosecuted, and their humiliation is a part of that process. P.O.C. This is the prosecution of the state of California, and the terrorist leaders, including Paul Leon and Mike Lorenz, many of whom are being removed from position. Not just being removed, but they're being federally prosecuted. And so are the people of the state. This is P.O.C. This is psychopathic pacing. Throughout this video, you saw them fly over and back and forth. They're going back and forth. That's mental illness as you're looking at what they're doing in the helicopter and the environment that they're doing it in. Fake sun rising. Upland Police, 9 a.m. I'm capturing today. I'm at this corner, the same location, 12 p.m. Upland Police gang stalking me in the city of Ontario with the vagina monitors themselves coming together to engage in what is kidnapping right here at this bus stop. Craig Hazelwood and Owens, who are hostile demons, vagina monitors themselves that don't have any authority under the municipal code. They don't have any authority under the law at all. They're engaging in kidnapping, and this is the evidence showing why they're kidnapping, because they're being embarrassed while they're proven as stalkers, not police officers. And these are the people of the state. These are demons, not normal, sane, competent, trustworthy, reliable human beings. These are demons, and they're already dead. They're already dead. I mean that. These are people who are dead. They commit murder. They stalk people that they're envious of. This is the conduct of the dead, the gang stalkers, the demon-possessed. And they're being federally prosecuted here on Earth. P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 10:08 p.m. The entity, very foolish with regard to being the defendant who's going to be in court with this evidence. No coincidence, it's a pattern. While the airport is stalking, moments later on video, the police department is stalking. That's exactly what they did at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, where there are no planes taking off there. There are no planes taking off here from the airport. And there was certainly no authority under the Constitution to maintain surveillance in the sky space in violation of the federal stalking statute like the city of Ontario is, which Paul Leon is being removed from office for, period. This is P.O.C. The people of the state are terrorists. They are threats to this country, and they are an enemy. Understand what that is. They are enemies, the entity that's gang stalking, and they have been breeded. They have been taught and instructed. They are being facilitated in being terrorists in the United States. They are going to be prosecuted in a way in which you have never witnessed, like the enemies that they are, homegrown terrorists. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:09 p.m. Mike Lorenz wanted you to see that. Mike Lorenz is going to be prosecuted by it. P.O.C. This is sexual assault and battery by the entity. And the cowards of the Ontario Police Department, these are pathetic flunkies in life who are stalking. These are freak weirdos that are stalking with light. These are demons. And they're stalking with the police department. And remember, they're in the environment with multiple shadows. The entity is stalking with a demon-possessed population, engaging in surveillance on bikes in the middle of the night. Demons, weirdos. This is the environment. They're stalkers. And they're doing so on behalf of the Ontario Police, who are maintaining helicopter activity while I am getting ready to publish sex offenders' identities. Sex offenders that are engaging in what is gang stalking and then talking mess while they're stalking at the same time. That's the mentally ill that are murderers and are engaging in gang violence on behalf of the cowards of the Ontario Police, okay? This is the entity that's, again, they're engaging in what is stalking on video. They do so, again, after the stalkers at the Ontario International Airport do. They do so while they are monitoring on my device. This is relevant to the entity removing evidence off of the internet regarding X. The people of the state that engage in that, their identities are being published online, and then the entity engages in simultaneously, ceaselessly remaining engaged in violence, and then also trying to conceal that evidence, conceal the identity of the predator who is stalking, in fact, while they are suppressing the evidence on the video of the internet. The entity that's talking nonsense, harassing you, in other words, with regard to speaking in the vernacular, talking mess, speaking mess. That's Mike Lorenz that's harassing you. That's Mike Lorenz that again, a feces consumer. That you have feces on your breath while you're trying to insult, which you cannot, while you are stalking and are obsessed with my vagina. You use everything that you have, including your business, including your job, while your actual whole purpose of your presence is to stalk me. Nobody with feces on their breath can actually insult you, but you will prosecute for the demon that calls himself a chief of police who is harassing you vicariously through the masses. That's the pattern of conduct. And that's the entity that's doing so in the specific environment. None of their light activity is disconnected from what is the light activity occurring on the wall. Those are demons that are stalking. Those are demons arriving at the intersection, stalking. Those are demons who are embarrassed. That's why they are engaging in speaking. That's harassment that Mike Lorenz is going to be prosecuted. Every syllable that comes out of the mouth of gang stalkers.
That's Michael Lorenz. That's the U.S. government that goes around kidnapping and murdering people, speaking through the people, speaking through the demons, speaking as the incompetent gang members that they are. This is P.O.C. The entity stuck with helicopter activity, and this is relevant to everybody that I'm going to document right now. They're doing so while they're monitoring on my device, and guess what it doesn't do? It does not stop me from publishing the identities of all the sex offenders committing sexual assault and battery today on yet another day. These are sex offenders engaging in sexual violence on a ceaseless basis. One sex offender after another, a family of sex offenders like Rosa and all of her minor children. They're all vagina monitors. That's what's filling these vehicles and stalking. Vagina monitors, families of them. P.O.C. The demon-possessed don't have any limits. They don't have any boundaries. There's no bar with regard to mental illness, with regard to sexual violence, with regard to criminal activity, with regard to the demon possession. Their demon-possessed children are sex offenders. The demon-possessed people of the state are terrorists with the demon-possessed government, like the Ontario Police. This is P.O.C. So I wanted to capture this video because this is preceding the documentation of sexual assault and battery committed by the entity that is engaged in the ongoing real-time conspiracy to commit murder. While that airport is providing evidence, in fact, the city of Ontario is still engaged in that criminal conspiracy. While that entity provides evidence, the previous video, the entity is stalking by helicopter, including this video, because the entity is stalking by helicopter, trying to duck and dodge when you already know that Michael Lorenz is obsessed with my vagina and stalking me everywhere, including in bathrooms. With the incompetent demon-possessed gang stalkers. Those that do so with those over and under the age of majority. And that's because sex offenders are being specifically identified. And you do not have any constitutional protections while you are engaging in the unconstitutional and inhumane system of federal group stalking and monitoring. Your delusion is going to be a matter of what is a federal prosecution. This is P.O.C. Just to be clear about who the Ontario Police are following, but you already know that. This is Mike Lorenz that is being federally prosecuted while the helicopters of the Ontario Police Department are following me around obsessively. And to be clear, it is indeed following, which is also committed vicariously, stalking in the path by a population that also commits sexual violence while they're stalking you. And they are doing so in a very clearly identified environment. These are all the multiple shadows where a demon is stalking me in a helicopter, following me as I'm going around, leaving, going from place to place. The entity is gang stalking, and they're doing so while they're monitoring what's being published on the internet, which is also informing the ongoing stalking conduct by this agency, committing kidnapping. As late as February 4th, 2026, Mike Lorenz is being federally prosecuted for the pattern of conduct by that terrorist organization, and every kidnapper of that terrorist organization is going to prison. Every single last video will be used against every single last one of them. It's a pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. This is the entity following me to ARCO, 11:10 p.m.